Hello and welcome to the mighty return of the B&B show. My name is Brandon Kane. This guy right here to my left, that's Seahawks Brendan Nelson back in the house, making an epic return here back to the channel as we kick things back into play. The season hasn't started, Brendan, till B&B show has started. How you doing, man?
I'm like Jay Harbaugh. You can't get rid of me.
That's right. That's right. Well, you actually got good results, unlike some of the other sides on the Jay Harbaugh aspect of it. But hopefully. Hopefully, well, maybe improves with time. Just you need a year to get the rules right on that kickoff stuff.
Right.
Well, we're back here after a couple months of a bit of a break, and we got through the thick of it of the draft and through free agency and kind of looking at the team. So we haven't had a chance to as much, Brendan, you and I, come in and put our heads together as far as really where you kind of think you're at now. Obviously, when things happen in the heat of the moment, you might think a certain way. Sometimes minds change, sometimes minds don't. When it comes to this offseason in your outlook of things and you enter in a training camp, in just general terms, where is your kind of head at with this team?
Well, I think that overall, this should be a pretty good season. The schedule looks very, very reasonable. The way things have set up with this schedule are, I think, very clearly set up for a pretty good year. This is not a great division yet. I know some people are high on the Niners, but I think the Niners could be having a little bit of a transition year between their team that they had and the team that they will have going forward. Rams, I mean, there's a lot hanging on that Matt Stafford back that looks like it's about ready to already fall apart. And the Cardinals, who knows? So it's not a great division. It's not a really tough schedule. And the defense, this is the second year. And you mostly brought back all your starters from last year. There's maximum continuity on that side of the ball. So this should be a good year. And I think that was kind of my sentiment back last time we streamed. And it remains my sentiment now that the question that I have is this going to be a great season? That's a little bit harder for me to estimate on, because in order to have a great season, typically you've got to have something very special going on the offense. And it's a new offense, new coordinator, new quarterback. We got a bunch of new receivers, at least a couple new offensive linemen. Like that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. So I'm still kind of in that place. I think this is going to be a good team. I think this team is going to win double-digit games this year. I'm just not convinced it's going to be a great season yet.
Well, I think that's definitely fair. I feel like, too, though, you are intimating a little bit that there is a greatness potential, if you were in what you're saying there a little bit. Is that a fair to say within, even though you're not predicting it, that this is also to you not a team that has, little to no chance of getting into a contending status, or do you feel that way?
I think the possibility is there. I think the possibility is there for a couple of different reasons. I'm not necessarily sold that it's going to happen because I have a lot of questions about this offense. And I think that in the modern NFL, it is hard to win with just an okay offense. And that's kind of where I'm aiming at things right now. But there's some upside here. There is some upside here. I can say that. There's upside that maybe there wasn't in previous years. You have some talent up front on the offensive line. Now, who knows if that talent will mean anything, but I think we have talent up front. So I'm going to be open-minded here. I'm going to give this team a chance to show me what they can do. And I'm going to have decently high expectations, but I don't know if I see a team that can actually make some kind of a championship run here.
I think it's fair. There's definitely, when you have this much question, making that kind of prediction towards that possibility is a little bit harder, I think, to do. I think that there's a lot here to generally push you in a direction of feeling like it's possible, but definitely it comes down to, like you say, the offense and how good they can be, because I think we do believe the defense is going to be really good. Can this be a defense that's the best in the National Football League this year, Brendan? Does it have that kind of high upside to it?
I ran a prediction series over the last couple of weeks. I ended up landing on, I think it'll be top 5, give or take. I think it'll be around that top 5. Top 1, I think, is a little bit, if you're talking about the best. I mean, if you're top 5, you're right there. You're right on the cusp of it. It's not really that far away, but I look at the defenses that people are expecting to be the best in the league. Teams like the Eagles, teams like maybe some people would say the Niners because they got Saleh back. Maybe a team like the Ravens, I guess, would be up there. I don't know if we have that star power yet. I don't know if we have the superstars that some of those teams have that get them over the edge. So I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say best in the league, but I'm going to say they're up there. And I'm going to say they're good enough to win a championship with. Not to say that we will, but I think it's a championship-ready defense.
Yeah, I'd say it's background a little bit to your point on this. You've done, I agree with you really as far as the alignment on the defense goes. I think top 10 is the minimum kind of floor, and then upwards from there, they can kind of go anywhere they want if a few things really, develop. But, you and I probably equally have a lot of confidence when it comes to this defense and the special teams, but it does all come down in the modern era now. How far can that alone take you? And then you'll have functionality offensively, but there's the question mark of it. And then you go, well, what if the offense is just below mid? What if it's in the 20s overall? Well, how far can that particular team come together? And I think the double-digit wins probably pretty accurate on that. But with that also said, that type of team can also, if it can get into the playoffs, tends to play well in the playoffs at that time of the year.
Mm-hmm. To me, the big question is, what is this team going to do at the end of close games? I think that's something that we kind of lose track of. So much of this league is, what does your team do at the end of close games when they're down 3 or they're down 4 and they have the ball and there are 2 minutes left, and all this other stuff with regards to your team kind of falls to the side, and it's up to your quarterback and your coordinator and your offensive line to go down and win the game. And the thing that I'm very interested in seeing this year is, the last couple of years, the Seahawks have done extremely well in those situations. And that's how this team has managed to put together a winning record, despite not really having that good of an offense or a defense collectively over the last 2 years, because you had the quarterback who could go win the game in that situation over and over again. You had, as odd as it is, even though you had not great play callers those 2 years, you had play callers that came through in those situations over and over again. Now you've got a new play caller, you've got a new quarterback, you've got new receivers. That, to me, was like the thing that was really keeping Seattle in a good place these last couple of years. That's why we weren't a 7 or 6 win team. We were great in those end of game situations offensively. So we're going to have to be great again to get up to that 12, 13 win projection that some people have. That's what it's going to take. And I'm going to have to see it a few times before I rule on whether or not that's what we have.
Is there any chance maybe that you can build a model here where you're playing more from ahead than you have in these prior couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. And I expect that. Because I expect this defense to be better than it's been since Earl Thomas broke his leg against the Panthers in 2016. But unless you are a historically dominant team, you're still going to find yourself in that situation quite a bit over the course of a season. You can be as dominant as you want to be. This is the NFL. In the NFL, you are going to find yourself in that spot repeatedly, where the game comes down to which quarterback can execute better at the end of a close game, needing to go down and score to seal a win or get the win or push to overtime or whatever. And I think that this team can reduce the number of times that situation comes up, but I don't think it's going to completely go away. And I do think it's going to happen enough to make the difference between like a 9-win team and a 12-win team.
I think that's definitely fair. I do think that there's a little bit baked into this that we got to kind of unpack on the being good in those 2-minute situations, those end of game situations, because some of it had to do with the inconsistency that existed prior to that point from you in an offensive standpoint. Some of it when Carroll was with the first 2 years in Geno and doing really well with this, you'd acknowledge this. You probably had a basic rule in place of not targeting the middle of the field. And then I think Carroll let that up in the 2-minute situations. And that's partly now you have defenses that are used to you not targeting the middle of the field. So they're stretching out to the numbers and to the sidelines. leaving out that opened up stuff now. And so now you have kind of free and easy yards to go and get, and you're able to look way better as an offense because you don't have the prior constraints on the top of you like you kind of did. And I do wonder if there's a little bit of that in place. On top of, I would just say, we haven't discussed it a lot, but this new kickoff rule is very impactful. And it's going to be very impactful to two different things. It's going to be impactful to those offenses that are consistent in moving the chains, because the moving the chains offenses now get rewarded with some kind of points if they've got a kicker with a big leg, right? 2 first downs, you're in field goal range now, where that didn't used to be the prior place when you're at the 20-yard line. And it will reward those defenses that put the clamps down on offenses, i.e. not allowing a couple of first downs before we allow you to get off the field, i.e. the bend but don't break defenses will be the ones that suffer from this new rule, and the defenses that put you on lockdown will be the ones that benefit. Can you see where I kind of am going with this as far as a sort of pet theory on this with the play from ahead, consistent drives? Your defense is more about trying to get the team off the field as quickly as humanly possible. And then that could lend itself to you playing ahead more in games, and that you find yourself now on the other end of that scale. I agree with you. You can't eliminate it. You can't eliminate it totally. It's going to be a part of the game. But can you get it to a place of where you're more often up ahead in those fourth quarter situations than you have been in past years? And that's where I am drawing a little bit of confidence in the way that I think they can go the direction here.
Yeah, I do foresee that, to be clear. I do foresee that. I imagine that this defense, if it's going to be top 5, which I think it will be, then by virtue of the fact that they're top 5, those situations fade away a little bit, but they don't go away completely. College football, they go away completely on some of these dominant teams, but in the NFL, no. I don't think, even if we have the best defense in the league, there are going to be weeks where they give up stuff. It's not like the 70s with the Dolphins anymore. You don't have teams like the Dolphins in the 70s where just every single week they're shutting you down with their defense and nobody ever really challenges them. That doesn't happen anymore. So I know it's going to happen eventually, but you're right. It's going to be much less of a concern this year than previous years. I agree with that.
Well, we do have a guy in the in-house that we brought over as a defensive coordinator who not 2 years ago won the Triple Crown for defenses. And if I'm not mistaken, no defense in the modern era has done that. So I would say that, look, you've also brought in what you think and hope to be one of the brightest defensive minds in this sport. And if it's possible to go in that direction, here's the kind of guy who could do it. And if you're getting the consistent drives, 3 points here, 3 points here, 7 points here, you're getting teams off the field, you get yourself in the fourth quarter. And it can be a situation where it's at, 20 to 13 or 20 to 10, where instead now they're the team having to come back from behind on you, and you're in more of that pole position. And when you look at that Ravens team, what stood out in that Triple Crown winning team is that they weren't particularly good at stopping the run necessarily, but teams didn't have the opportunity to run the ball against them because of the fact that they always were playing from ahead. And then they got the pass rush that they could light up, and that it's all sort of a little bit, I'm just pushing for the fact that maybe there's a bit of by design in this, and that it's not that I'm saying it's going to happen, but I could absolutely see it happening and being a driving force here in a way that's very unique in Seattle versus almost any other team in the National Football League.
No. You're definitely right about that. That's the way things work in the modern NFL. You don't need to be that good at stopping the run. You just need to not be terrible at it. Those last 2 years under Carroll, this team was so bad at stopping the run that it was actually costing them games. Yeah. Across the league, it's very rare that an inability to stop the run actually makes you lose a game anymore. I feel like it always comes down to something else. And you have to be truly atrocious for it to actually derail your season. So I'm not really too worried about that. And I don't think our run defense is going to be too bad anyway. I actually think this run defense will be fine. So I'm liking all that, and I definitely can sign off on all that. One thing I would say, though, is it is an odd year. So if we're depending on Jason Myers to, carry the load for this scoring, we'll see. We'll see, right?
Contract year overcomes Mr. Hyde. That's the way that the formula works, okay? It's, yes, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but only when he's on a long-term extension. When he gets into the contract year, then it auto reverts to Hyde or Jekyll. It goes back to Dr. Jekyll. I don't make up this math, Brendan. It's just the way the universe works.
All right. Well, I like the sound of that. I can get behind that. But I think that there's a clear formula here and it can win games. I do think that. But I do just remain a little bit concerned about what happens when those situations come up, because I'm sure they will. Even if it's like only 3 times all season, that's still 3 games in a 17-game season. That can mean a lot. So again, that's just something we're not going to know about until it actually happens, because you can't really simulate that in practice. You can't really simulate it in preseason even, really, because the starters aren't going to be in at that point. So you just got to wait and see.
Well, and to give you a little bit of room back on this one to a degree, I think that the two places that I worry a little bit about with Sam, though I do feel like there's more of a lateral move in here at the end of the day that we'll find from the Sam to the Geno train. But I think the dealing with hyper amount of pressure like we had Geno dealing with in the past couple of years, hopefully that's removed. But I would also say the other part that I'm probably a little bit worried on, where I know Geno was nails in those 2-minute situations, in that I'm not as sure about that with Sam, and watching him in those situations throughout the last couple of years, where it's even last year where he had some times, but there's still some times where he gets a little shaky ground and you feel like he gets a little maybe nervous a little bit, the heart beating fast and adrenaline pumping too much and just can't go ahead. So I feel like, and part of me building this hope up that they're going to go this direction is to stay out of those situations, because I don't have the confidence when they do get into those as it stands right now.
Yeah, you get past Halloween and he starts seeing the ghosts, right? So you got to prevent that.
If there's too much pressure, man, I mean, I think he can deal with pressure, but if you inundate him with it just too consistently, too long, as you saw at the end of last year, that's where, and he's not alone on that. Most quarterbacks will. It's part of the good that Geno has in him that, he was able to not get kind of broken down by that over time. But you want to avoid it if you absolutely possibly can. We got Quinn coming in very kind, Brendan, here, starting off a new season here, B&B the right way. And Quinn, you are the man for doing so. He not only gifted 5 memberships over here onto the Hawks Nest, but 5 memberships over onto Seahawks Brendan Nelson as well. Quinn, we salute you, sir. Let's get a little bit of applause for Quinn on that one. Thank you, my man. You're the man for that, Quinn. Much, much, much appreciated to you. You can become a member of both Seahawks Brendan Nelson or the Hawks Nest right now on either side of us for just a couple bucks a month. And Quinn, I'm sorry, it doesn't show me who got gifted the subs when we're in the StreamYard app. That's one of the restrictions of StreamYard, unfortunately. But if you did get gifted a sub, give a thank you and a shout out there to Quinn in the chat, as he got you hooked up. And both me and Brendan got some great benefits going on for members of the channel. Appreciate you, Quinn.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations to anyone who got one.
Congrats. And thank you, Quinn, for starting us off right this year on a new B&B. Appreciate you for that. Be calm, see clearly in the house. How you doing, Be Calm? He says, I'm just going to have high hopes. Be Calm wants a Super Bowl. Rest in peace, Paul Allen. We miss you. And thank you. And thanks, B&B. Been working. I'll see you guys soon. Oh, well, thank you so much. Very kind of you.
Thank you. Be calm.
Rest in peace, Paul Allen and Michael Jamal Warner and freaking Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk. The Hulkster went today, Brendan.
Yeah. I thought about, for the stream today, at some point I do the shirt thing, but the shirt's too nice, actually. I don't want to do it to this one. I thought about getting one of the old ones I have that I don't mind, but I was like, I don't want to get demonetized right before the season, right?
Yeah, hypersexualized content. That's the dude on that. Yeah. But rest in peace to all of them. And I guess it does truly come in threes, Brendan. That's what they say with these celebrity passings, is they come in threes.
They do. I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't watch the Cosby, so I didn't know who Malcolm Jamal Warner was. I had to look it up. The other two I certainly knew, but it does kind of make me wonder if there's another bigger one coming, because Malcolm Jamal Warner, I don't know. I guess if you were watching TV during that era, it probably meant a lot more to you, because I never watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Cosby Show, and it was Bill, and I'm older than you, so I definitely grew up a little bit more on it, and it was a staple on television. It was good television, back then. That was kind of a time with Cheers shows and stuff like that, where just the writing was so sharp and good on those shows and well acted, and he was just a part of it. It was Bill's show, but it's just a well done show that was on for a long period of time too. Man, that thing was on for quite a bit of time, but yeah. I don't think he did much else that I can remember from him. I know he did some work, but I didn't see him in a whole lot else out there.
Yeah, I agree.
But Be Calm, thank you, man. Appreciate you. I hope a Super Bowl season would be one hell of an amazing ride to start from this place of uncertainty, but a very talented team to get to a place like that. That'd be just tremendous,
Yeah, and I'm not saying it can't happen. There's some stuff going on with this team that I think the rest of the football world is not yet seen. Like, you read these articles, you look at these ranking lists that these pundits have, they don't see it. But I think there's something they are missing here with how much continuity is going to mean to this defense.
I think there's just a general laziness on the national perspective towards the Seattle Seahawks, unless we're a juggernaut. Do you feel that same way? I mean, it's just that unless it's, they know for sure, like, well, they're definitely gonna, then it's always kind of like, I don't know what they got out there in Seattle.
Yeah, kind of. It was a lot easier when we had a superstar quarterback, at least, right? When we had a quarterback that they all knew about. Or superstar players in general. Like, we don't have any players other than maybe Michael Dixon that people generally consider to be among the 5 best in their position. Yeah, I know now Big Cat is, but like ESPN and PFF both did lists of like interior defensive linemen this season or this offseason, and Big Cat was 6th on both lists. They had Jalen Carter over it. I'm like, Jalen Carter doesn't even play the run, really. Like, there's no way he's better than Big Cat right now.
The Carterites will not pay attention to that, by the way. Do you notice that? They will not pay attention to what he is as a run defender.
Yeah, the Eagles like protect him really, really well. And I feel like people have kind of thought about things like that less and less and less as time goes by. We should be paying attention to that kind of stuff more and more. I think it's really reached like a fever pitch this offseason with the Jalen Hurts stuff, where nobody wants to acknowledge how easy his life is in Philly playing quarterback. They just want to say, well, he won the Super Bowl, so he has to be the best quarterback in the league or whatever. And we're not allowed to talk about context at all. I feel like nobody talks about context anymore with these players.
Especially quarterback. I was talking with somebody on my Twitch channel last night about them getting into a debate with people, to your point on Hurts, and that there's people out there online trying to present that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert.
Yeah. And you know why that comes up, right? It's because he won a Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, 100%. That's it. It gets down to this sport that's so deep with so many details and so many things below the surface to try to ascertain what's going on. People want to draw to one simplistic thing and say, well, it's just this that determines that. And it's like, he's on the most stacked team in the NFL. It's not. No, it's not. And then the thing with this is silly too, is that if I took 32 NFL general managers, Brendan, and I said, who would you rather have, Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert? What do you think the ratio would be on that for people that pick Herbert over Hurts?
I don't know if any of them would. I don't think any of them would. I've said this isn't originally from me. Somebody else said it, but it's a really good point. Jalen Hurts is the college freshman who has a 3.9 GPA, but he's taking intro to English and intro to music theory, something like that. You know,
I like that comp. Yeah, I like that metaphor.
Yeah, I see it with the Jalen Carter thing. That's why I brought it up, because nobody talks about the fact that he basically does not play the run. He basically doesn't. Like, there's no universe where he's better than Leonard Williams going into this upcoming season. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I had Cortez Kennedy comps for Carter coming out, but Cortez played the run. Cortez was a complete defender. And it's great what Carter does as being a game wrecker and pass rusher. That's all good. But you have to take the full allotment of a player into view of things. You can't just cherry pick the things you like about their game when there is the parts of their game that's on the downward side of it. You and I do it with the prospects we have to look at in the draft all the time and saying there's more to just this part of their game. There's also that, and you got to pay attention to everything.
Right. I agree.
Appreciate you though. Be calm. Have a good one out there, and don't work too hard out there, my man. Kevin Mullen with a $5 donation. Thank you for that, Kevin, as well. Says Kyle Shanahan came across to Grave of Snowmen. Turns out it's just a field of carrots.
I've never heard that one before.
Grave of Snowmen, so they melted. I hadn't heard that one before, Kevin. Yeah. That's a new one there. So Grave of Snowmen, turns out it's just a field of carrots. Can we still run 14 personnel? BR camp focus. Love the show.
Well, 14 would be what? That would be like four tight ends. Yeah, four tight ends. Is that legal?
You'd line the tight end as in a wide X. The one wide receiver would become a tight end, and he'd be an X receiver on the line of scrimmage. Then you go 2 in line, and you have 1 H back. Brandon's not liking it, Kevin. Brandon's not big on the 14.
Well, nobody would see it coming.
The way it could work is with Arroyo. The team has already told us that they have some feeling like he could work on the outside and that's something he'd be comfortable doing. And I would tell you, you put the just to use your food metaphor here, Kevin, you'd put teams into a hell of a pickle if you were to go to that, because then you're saying, okay, how do you want to counter this? You're going to come out in goal line with your one corner on the outside, and then they come to that corner on the outside with wide zone. You could have Arroyo matched up on a real 5'11" cornerback that's 190 pounds and isolate him on the outside zone with him as the lead guy, right? Him as you're bringing that running play right behind his back on that block. So it's possible, man, Kevin. The dream's alive. The dream is alive. I'll tell you that. And they've said if the team hadn't told you they were going to.
Which would be the receiver that becomes like the tight end? Would it be Kupp or
no? You have no receivers on the field.
So it would be Arroyo, Barner, Saubert, and Russell.
It would be all those guys. Yeah, and all of them. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, every now and then it can be fun. I could see
just see what the defense does. You can just see like how the defense counters if it freaks them out. Just goal line maybe. I'll tell you this: you could set the situation up. You want to get a goal line fade out there to Arroyo again on a mismatch. You could do so at that point out of it, because teams are going to totally lock in on running the ball at that point if you tried it.
Maybe you can make them waste a timeout.
Exactly. Just and that in itself would make it worthwhile. The dream's alive, Kevin. I'm telling you, the dream is alive. If the team hadn't told us they're going to plan to play Arroyo at least somewhat as a receiver at times, I'd say no way, Jose. But there's a little bit of a chance here. Got next one up here, and this is HHG is going to set us up nice here for one of the topics I want to talk to you about today. Before we get to this part of it, HHG, and I thank you for the $1 donation. This is going to be baked within what I talked to Brendan about right here. So let's go back just for a second, Brendan. You released a video, I know, a couple days ago talking about the Brady Henderson story. Brady, I think you noted the fact that is connected in the organization. When he says certain things that are sort of between the lines, you can take it as to him not using conjecture, but actually probably tapped into something in the background. And Brady, it was weird, right to catch it, strange. Brady posts out his perspective final 53-man roster. And what does he have? He's got it all. Every guy allotted out, right, Brendan? Every guy's, here's this guy. It's going to be this guy. It's going to be this guy. But then over on the edge, what did he have over there, Brendan?
Yeah, he had player to be named, player not yet on the roster, listed alongside the other four guys. So he didn't say, and maybe he wouldn't go so far as to speculate on something like this, but he didn't say, oh, one of these guys is going to get traded and then we're going to go get this other edge. He said there's going to be another guy who gets added. And it was specifically not somebody on the roster. So Jared Ivey is on the roster, so it's not him. And I believe the other guy's Tyreek Smith. So the implication is he thinks they're going to dream a little bit bigger than those two guys.
And I think that in Brady's case on this, I can never remember him doing that before. I don't remember his past lists, but I would have noted this because he is a guy that you've seen it with him in the past, giving you tidbits on stories, things that happened in the background and things that were unknown that are now known because he presented it. And so him with that conjecture, knowing you had the four you had, him probably already understanding about the Uchenna Nwosu news, because we got news that Uchenna Nwosu is going to miss probably maybe a couple games into the season by the way that this is sounding and how Mike talked about it.
Yeah, that's at least on the table. What he said was they're not that close, and they expect him to miss training camp and at least some of the preseason, and they didn't offer a timetable. So that's very realistic and doesn't sound unexpected either. It doesn't sound like that they got him in there and looked at him and found it to be surprising where he was. It almost sounds like they kind of knew that he wasn't going to be in the greatest of shape when the season started.
But then it's also ominous, isn't it? Because he suffers the injury last year at the start of the year. He's never right throughout the whole rest of the year by his own admission. And then you start to wonder, given the injury he's had here recently, is this that they're expecting him to be back in the next couple of games? Or is this more like a hopeful thing? Is this like down the Abraham Lucas side of it where, like, 2 years ago or a year ago, you're like, well, we think we're maybe just going to watch it and track it. And that's where I think he's starting to push some of this. There's going to be that fourth edge thing here, Brendan, because he's looking at it and going, he's heard the background. The chances are lean. Maybe we'll get him back later in the year. We're going to probably have to IR him. We're going to miss him a lot of the season. That's what I think he is, as far as what I'm reading into this a little bit. Is that reading into it too much in your opinion? And then you think they're giving us the true honesty of this, that he will be back. It's just maybe a game or two that he's going to miss.
I don't get the sense he's going to miss most of the season yet. I'm not there yet, but I think that's on the table. I mean, they're being very vague, aren't they? They didn't give any kind of a timetable at all. So it's not a bad assumption. And the thing is, this team is not built to have one of their edges miss an extended period of time. We don't have a superstar that can play 80% of the snaps and just keep going and keep going and keep going. We don't have Myles Garrett. We don't have TJ Watt. We don't have any of those guys. So when you hear that Nwosu is going to miss at least some time, and he could miss a lot of time, you're looking at your edge room, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, DeMarcus Lawrence. That's not enough. That's not going to do it. So you kind of have to add somebody, and either you can go get one of those superstar guys, or you just go get another guy to kind of play add-on. And I've spent plenty of time this offseason talking about the superstar angle where you trade for Trey Hendrickson, trade for Micah Parsons, but that path is certainly fraught with danger. And I don't know if the team wants to commit when they have no idea if this team is worthy of committing to.
Yeah. I agree with everything you just said. I think I gotta get you though off the fence on this one. So I'm gonna push you down on this one just a little bit to give you some options here I want to roll through you with. Okay.
Okay.
HHE, thank you for the $2 donation. I think Clowney is one that you and I are uniformly, it's almost kind of too easy a one. Like you say, yes, he doesn't cost anything. You don't give up any draft pick compensation. You got all the cap space in the world to make a move here. I think that one's an easy peasy one to kind of just say yes to. It's the easy way out in this kind of what could become a very difficult presentation. I'm going to give you two for a couple of options here to the other side. Is that fair?
Yeah, and it's not going to cost that much. And Clowney's at a point in his life, in his career, where he probably doesn't want to play massive snaps anyway. Yeah. So even if you get Nwosu back and you're 5 deep at edge, I think that works out fine. Like, yeah. Maybe Clowney plays 15, 18 snaps a game. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. Or you get 10 games out of Clowney, and then Nwosu's ready to pick up the final 7.
Mm-hmm.
It also gives you the time to let Nwosu get more over the injury if he needs to at that point. So I think this one makes a lot of easy sense. He had his best season under Mike McDonald with Ravens, did Clowney. And so it could, I'm in favor of that, but that's not any fun, Brendan. The fun part is the risk part you talked about. The fun part is, would you stick your balls on the table? Would you take them out, drop them on the table and say, I believe in this team. I believe where they're going to go. So here's your options. Micah Parsons, $43 million contract extension per year on a 4-year deal. Plus it costs you a first, a third, and one of Hall or Mafe. Or Trey Hendrickson plus a third at $36 million per season plus Hall or Mafe.
I think I like the Parsons thing better. I think because Parsons is young. You're not going all in for just this one season with Parsons. Like with Parsons, you can think he'll be great for you for the next 5-6 years. Even if you're not going all in right now, it's not the end of the world. My problem with Hendrickson is you look at his age, you look at the mileage, you're talking about maybe 1 or 2 more really great years, and then he starts to level off. So what you're basically saying by doing that is you are all in for right now. And I don't know if I want to do that.
Okay, then third other option just to ask on this one is a 2nd and 3rd rounder for Shamar Stewart.
Wow. I think I'm going to be a no on that. I wasn't a big fan of him in the college. I wasn't. And I mean, what's going on with him right now is very unfair, and I feel for him. But I wasn't too high on him with the tape anyway. I think it's the Bengals' fault for taking him in the 1st round. Like, I don't really know what else I can say about that, but I'm not a big fan.
Okay. That's fair enough. Just want to check on that. And I would probably roll the same way with you. I'm not a fan with Hendrickson and the age and where he's at. It gets me and it's troubling too to come to this point, isn't it, Brendan? Because there are edges that have been able to be very productive deep into their career, past where these guys are at. So you just get in this sport where things go so fast. You just get so worried about guys, having something pump along there. And I think even though Micah would cost them more, I would probably be driven to try to make the bigger swing to that side of it to make it roll. But the Shamar thing's worth monitoring because, I mean, what are they going to do? They're really going to look down the barrel of letting this guy go back to college for a year and just losing a 1st round pick, or salvage as you can. I feel like from the Bengals standpoint, you try to salvage it a bit, but they're also such a kind of dumb organization that they get stubborn and just dig their heels in.
Yeah, there's another option. There's another option here that Odafe Owe on the Ravens, wanting a new contract, played under McDonald. Would you trade for him?
I wouldn't, because the point of what we're trying to do here is trade for true difference makers from the position. And he's kind of like Boye Mafe. It's like, do you want to just bring in another Boye Mafe? Kind of what he brings. I mean, it's fine, but I'm not just bringing in a Boye Mafe and a rookie contract. I'm bringing in a Boye Mafe and a contract extension where I have to basically give Mafe the same extension a year from now. At that point, it's kind of like chasing your tail a little bit. 12 here to dozen here. So I want a difference maker. I think your point on that initially was right on spot. I think what we could use is not that it's desperately needed, but if there's an opening here to add on to this team and make it better, where you could make them better is with that super dynamic edge that can be a bit of a monster. Because the thing we don't talk about with McDonald is, for all of his simulated pressures and stacked boxes, he doesn't want to blitz. And we come back to a lot of the same stuff that we had with Carroll back in the day, which is that if you do not want to blitz, if you want to be a team that's on the back third half of the blitzing in the NFL, then you damn well better have the guys up front that can get to the quarterback in tandem, not just one or two guys, but that you've got a crew of guys that can get after it. It's a necessity.
Yeah, and we have it on the interior. I think we're going to have one of the best duos at 3-tech in the whole league this year. So if you can get, again, like somebody like a Micah Parsons that is considered by pretty much everyone to be one of the 5 best in the league at his position, I think you have to strongly consider that, because it has been a long time since this team had a player like that. Since probably maybe Russell Wilson in 2020 and Bobby Wagner back then as well, was the last time you had a player that pretty much everyone considered to be among the 5 best at his position.
So you do it then. What if the cost even goes? What if it's a first, a second, and Hall to get the deal done, Parsons? Would you do it today? You're general manager of the Seattle Seahawks. Would you pull it?
I would. I think I would. I probably wouldn't do it if it was Mafe, because I'm much higher on Mafe than Hall.
Ooh, okay.
I'm a little bit, I don't know what to think of Hall at this point. I'm a little bit put off of him at the moment. So I would say yes. I think I would do it. He's really good, and he can do more stuff than just rush the passer from the edge. There's other stuff going on there that I think McDonald would have a lot of fun with.
Yep.
One other idea, and I'm not a fan of this one, but I do want to put it out into the ether here. What about Thibodeau?
No, I want guys that love the sport. I mean, one of the guys we just released a couple of days ago, Noah Fan, I don't know if that guy loves the sport. And I think he's really talented, but I think, and I'm not trying to throw shade at Fan here, Brendan, but when you have guys that are hyper talented and they've got all the tools in the world to be difference makers, and they stay relatively healthy and they're not able to reach that spot through 6 years, 7 years of their career. I know Thibodeau's not there quite yet, but I knew with him coming out of college that there was a little bit of vibes of this. Remember with the whole brand thing, and I want to raise what he wanted to. I want to become an icon, or he said some stupid stuff he was saying.
No, he went to the combine and was promoting some crypto coin that he had made.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
He just doesn't. Yeah. I don't think he's got his, and that guy doesn't develop at New York. Like, he has the one good year and then he takes a step backwards last year. First year was that's exactly what you'd expect from somebody that you're not really sure if they love the sport or not. And we're trying to bring guys in here that live and breathe football. So that would be a no-go for me. I think the Seahawks were probably turned off to him with the combine process, because remember they interviewed him too as well, and they had a chance to potentially look at him and like, nah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not a fan of that one. And my understanding is that he's another one of these guys that doesn't try to play the run at all, and he's just I don't watch every Giants game, but that is my understanding of him, and I don't need to deal with that, especially if you're replacing Nwosu, who is kind of the guy you have in here to play the run at a high level with D-Law.
Agreed. Yeah, you'd hope he can be back in there, and we're not doing this to do a lateral move to me. Otherwise, you just stand pat and let it roll and see what happens at the trade deadline. If anything, at that point, you should find an edge rusher at that point. If there's not one now, you need. So it doesn't have to be something you have to address right now. You can address a little bit later on, but yeah, don't go for a guy like that. He's no, thank you. Robbie Red, thank you for a double dip of $2 donations. It didn't have the first comment in there on your first dono, but it did on the second. So thank you for that. He says, if you could choose a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, who would you choose?
Pretty open-ended question here. I mean, I wouldn't choose a DC because we have McDonald who's calling plays. An OC? Well, I don't know. It's kind of tough to answer this because what are we talking about here? Can we have any coach? Can we have?
No, it'd have to be an OC. I think
Okay.
you can't grab like McVay.
Okay.
That's cheating.
Arthur Smith.
There you go. Arthur Smith ain't bad. I'll go with the Tennessee Titan defensive coordinator who used to be the coach underneath McDonald with the Ravens. I don't know the guy's name, but I would go with
Weaver, Anthony Weaver.
Yeah, I'd put Weaver there at DC. As far as offensive coordinator goes, that's a tough one. I mean, the hard part is that there's just not as many, it feels like, dynamic offensive coordinators in the sport right now. I mean, who's the crop of guys we've got that are really well regarded? You have Brady up there with the Bills, I guess, is looked at as okay. He doesn't do a lot for me though.
Let's see here. Let me think about it. Like, Kellen Moore's a head coach now, so can't be him. And I'm not huge on him anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of like, Ben Johnson's gotten hired now. He's out of it. I'm just trying to think of, like, we really have a very thin crop right now of offensive coordinators that are available that are good coordinators. I'm talking about, like, remember in the past, we've been able to have like ones like, this guy's dynamic, this guy's young and smart, this guy's on the rise, this guy's he's going to be a head coach in a matter of no time. It almost feels like some of those guys got hired so fast, Brendan, it like tore the stock of readily available guys out of it,
Yeah. Let me think here. What's the name of the guy on the Dolphins under McDaniel?
It's like he's got like a John Smith kind of name.
Hold on, let me look this up. Yeah, Frank Smith. I like him. I will say that. He hasn't done a lot of play calling yet, but I am a fan of him.
Yeah, maybe I'll go with Frank Smith, Robbie. I got to say though, as I'm going through the litany of teams in my mind who have the offensive coordinator, and I can't, I don't want Kingsbury. I wouldn't trust. That's more Jaden Daniels to me than that's Kingsbury out at Washington. So
where's Kafka right now?
Still New York.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Stables still remain there. He got that assistant head coaching job. Remember they gave him that sweetener.
Yeah.
They sweetened the package for him.
Yeah, this is how you actually keep an OC job for a long time in the NFL now. You're so mediocre that you're not good enough to get a head coaching job, but you're not bad enough to get fired.
Or in the case of the Giants, they just fired so many guys before you that they just know it looks bad if they keep firing people. So they'll just keep rolling, I guess, with you.
Yeah, I don't mind Kafka, though. I feel like he and Dable, I think they're good offensive minds. I don't know if Dable's a good coach, but I think he's a good offensive mind.
He'd be a coordinator. There's plenty of coaches I'd be like, I don't want you as a head coach, but I'm certainly, Mike McDaniel, I don't know if he's going to get another head coaching job next, and I take him as an OC with what he does too. So there's a lot of those guys. That's why I'm thinking that, like, what's happened is we've had so many offensive coaches hired and then so many young OCs that have barely got their, feet wet that, of course, there's that wonder kid in Minnesota that we were looking at as an OC.
Oh,
like the 23-year-old kid or something.
Yeah, Grant Udinzik
or something like that. Maybe it was Udinsky. I forget.
Yeah. And they have Greasy too, right? They had Brian Greasy.
Yeah. They got a brain trust up there.
Yeah, they do.
Floors on the other side. But those would be my go-to. I know Weaver and McDonald worked really well together, and that'd be a cool combo. Chase Stern has been celebrating 24 months as a Hawks Nest member. Thank you for that, Chase. How likely do you guys think it is that Micah Parsons gets moved?
28.4%.
I like that percentage point. That's pretty good. That's a strong percentage point, especially the 0.4 in there. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit to 36.3. And my reasoning being is that I wouldn't have, and Jerry's such a loose cannon, it's hard to tell, but that press conference he gave the other day where, if you were talking to teams in the background about moving a guy, you would start to do the laying of the foundations of that movement publicly wise. And I, for the life of me, Brandon, can't figure out what the upside of him opening his mouth up and saying either of those two comments about either Dak or Micah and what benefit it is to him in the negotiations, unless it's to the other side of that where they're playing sort of that, maybe playing with the notion of it, maybe.
I think he wants attention. I think he just wanted attention. And he feels like the attention he gets from making a comment like that is worth more than whatever he might lose in negotiations. I still feel like they end up bringing him back. I don't think you get a player that good and then you don't bring them back on a second deal. Like that's not something that almost ever happens in the NFL. But it might not be a bad idea for them to not do it when they already gave all that money to Prescott and Lamb. Like you are starting to push it a little bit when you're giving record-breaking deals at 3 different positions.
Don't forget Trayvon.
Yeah, and Trayvon Diggs. That's a great point. And especially when you're a team like Dallas that isn't willing to do what the Eagles do, where they just push all their cap hits back a billion years. Dallas
not just unwilling, completely opposite, and that they don't want to do any of that. Not even like, well, they won't go to the degree of Philadelphia. No, they won't even. I'm not doing any void years. I don't agree with that. Like Jerry might be a guy who legit on the next CBA pushes to not have that because he doesn't want to do that. Like he has bitched and moaned about that very, very often.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it is getting a little bit out of hand, but it's a weapon that you can use right now. And I applaud the teams that do it. And Dallas is a team that refuses to do it at all. So maybe their thinking is we literally can't. Like he could be the greatest player of all time. We cannot sign him. We don't have the choice. We have to trade him. I could see it. I still think it's more likely than not they get something done.
I agree with you. And then that's why I wouldn't go over that 50% mark. But I do think that there's a part of them that looks at this, even from Jerry's urgent standpoint of, I don't know how long I'm going to live. I only got another year. I got 6 months. We got to get the championship, 6 months. Maybe he doesn't look at it this way, though, for this one time, because he looks within his own division. And he says, I got the world champions at the top. I got Philadelphia right behind them. And then we're sitting firmly third as we're walking into this thing, even if we feel super confident about our stuff. And now we're going to sign another big contract to more further ingrain ourselves kind of into the purgatory status of that third place. I mean, I'm signing Micah for the opportunity to be a third place team. Maybe that Steven Jones or something kind of kicks loose with them. They're like, look, Mike is great. Yes, we normally did this. It hasn't worked. We haven't been in the Super Bowl in 30 years. We got to do something different here. And maybe I'm being hopeful with it, but I just walked through their process going, what are you guys doing there? Like, what is the plan here for you guys? Okay, you sign him. Now you're rooted where you're rooted. Now your cap situation is going where it's going. You're going to be that middle of the road team you've been for this past basically 30 years. Maybe I'm thinking they're going to grow a brain all of a sudden down there in Dallas, Brendan, but don't you see it the same way where they're just kind of stuck in this spot?
I kind of feel like they are. They've got nothing for Dak to throw to except for CD. They've got the worst running backs in the league. Like he's working with one good receiver, and that's
he's got
right
Pickens.
Now.
Pickens too.
Oh yeah, Pickens. Okay, I guess Pickens is good. I'm not huge on him, but he's pretty good. Like I said, they have the worst running backs in football. Like literally every time somebody does a ranking list, Dallas is at the bottom every time.
Yeah.
And I mean, they lost D-Law now, and D-Law was a great player for them. Like, don't get it twisted. He got hurt last year and they suffered for it. They don't have that anymore. They kept Osa. That's good. But there isn't a ton else on that defense I really like all that much other than Parsons and Osa.
Same. That's kind of about it. I remember they lost Armstrong too to Washington 2 years ago in free agency. Another guy was just a capable rotational rusher in that crew there for them. Their inside linebacker position is not all that together strong either. The safeties, I mean, outside of Trayvon Diggs. So, and then with Dak, again, you come back, okay, you got him a couple of targets in the 2 receivers, but he's also been injured a couple of times now since you signed to these contract extensions. You're really trusting in his health now for this upcoming season? Do you think he's going to now maintain again on this? I mean, if I was the Cowboys, not just to move him to us, if I was the Cowboys from a tactical standpoint right now, you call the ball and you realize it. They probably won't because they've already made their bed here with making the Pickens trade and signing Dak to the money they've signed him to. So they're just like, well, we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound.
Yeah,
But
that's exactly what I think it is. Like, they can't undo the Dak contract. They can't undo the CD contract. I think they are obligated to keep pushing with as much talent as they can, but maybe they literally can't because of the money.
yeah. So it's going to be an interesting thing to monitor. One thing's for sure, Micah wanted to get this contract done far before where we're at right now. And
Yeah.
you're in training camp now and you still don't have the deal done. And you got to wonder at what point or another too, Micah might reach a spot where he's like, you know what, after you move me in a spot that's actually going to give me the deal.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can see it too. Phoebe Morseox, thank you for the $5 donation. Feed me. He says, did you watch the Ernest Jones interview where he talks about how he feels better and way faster since having surgery? And I love hearing that.
Yeah, I did hear about this. Same with Abe Lucas has been saying the same stuff this offseason, where he feels the best he's felt in a long time.
Yeah, amen. It's the thing I've wondered. The thing that really perked my ears up on this, Brendan, was hearing from Ernest that it was not just a thing where he was dealing with this for 1 year, but he's been dealing with this for 2 years. That I got a rock in my shoe situation, and that he could play at the level he's played at the past 2 years, which has not been bad, but has been very good enough during that extension. And now you sort of get this player who can be maybe 6% quicker, 6% faster on the field now and not having to deal with that injury. Say nothing of the freaking apparatus he had on his arm throughout the whole lot. Maybe that thing comes off too. And that'd be great. I mean, us getting the best version of this guy. I thought he's got a real chance this year of breaking out, Brendan, because he's going to get the tackle numbers. He's a good blitzer. So he gets himself 3 or 4 sacks and then grabs a couple interceptions. And he had one last year, could have had 2 where he just barely missed one against the Rams too. So he gets himself 3 or 4 interceptions, 3 or 4 sacks, and then throws up all those tackle numbers up there. That's an all-pro type season from the inside linebacker, and I think he's got it in him.
Yeah, and he should have some really good stuff going on in front of him to make his life easy, because this should be the big breakout year for Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And you've still got Big Cat. It sounds like, with everything I'm hearing, Jaron Reed's going to be at nose this year, which I think is good too. So should be freed up, and I like his chances.
Hopefully that Jaron thing holds, man. Let Byron hunt, and that's what I was hearing too. You heard with Byron saying I'm gonna rush the passer more and 3 tech, and they kind of understand it. It sounds like so. By and large, I hope so, because obviously with Hankins coming back, you don't have a lot there, one nose tackle otherwise, and so that pull's going to be right there like it was last year to maybe slide him on over there. Like don't do it.
Yeah. People were saying that Reed looks a little bit bigger coming into camp this year. I don't know. I mean, I kind of wish it was like jockeys in horse racing where they have to weigh themselves every week. I'd like to know what he weighs right now.
Well, they're getting to the place where they can track him with GPS. Maybe we'll get to the place where they can track the weight off of just a shot, But that's good if you're going to 1 tech. You'd think you want to add another 10, 15 pounds probably onto your build going into that, because if you're a 3 tech, you're like 305 to 315 at the highest. At the 1 tech, you're going to go up to as high as even 330. So that's good to hear. He's a little bit bigger and thicker out there, and Jones is going to be in for a good year this year. I think I've got him as a breakout player on this defense. Not that he hasn't already kind of broke out, but he's going to make that contract look like a bargain.
Yeah. I don't know if there will be massive tackle numbers, because the defense I don't think will be on the field a ton, because it's going to be a really good defense, and we should be a ball control offense with all the running stuff.
It's true, and you got Tyrese Knight there.
Yeah, usually the tackle leaders in the NFL tend to be on the teams that are bad, because the defense is always playing.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's a good point. Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to hear, Phoebe. Just one more bit of optimism here for this upcoming training camp is that maybe we get the best version of Ernest Jones ever, as he is still in his mid-20s, still just in his prime for a player. Seth K. Aloha, thank you for the $5 donation, Seth. I appreciate you for that, man. He says, with the Nwosu questions, it'd be nice going after another edge like Clowney or Kayvon Thibodeau. Also, glad to have the live streams back. Well, thank you, Seth. Appreciate you for that, man. And that was over on your side, Brendan. I'm Clowney all the way between Thibodeau and Clowney. You don't have to trade for Clowney. He's going to cost cheaper than Thibodeau will with even his base contract, because Kayvon's going to carry a heavy base salary just off of even after the trade. Clowney had his best season with Mike McDonald. I mean, this is so much of a no-brainer You do it all day long to me. At this point, he should be on the bat signal. The Clowney signal should be shot to the skies in the Pacific Northwest. He should be on the plane already.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of people think it's in place, but he doesn't want to show up for camp because he wants to chill at home.
Well, that is the vet move, man. Right? That's when you do that. If you're like, I've collected like $130 million in contracts value in my time as a pro. I'm gonna, I'm gonna chill.
I think Jay Cutler tried to do that once when the year Tannehill tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And Cutler signed with the Dolphins. I think he was like trying to not show up, but he's a quarterback. You can't do that.
No, you need the reps at the QB, whereas he's JD doesn't need people to go be big and bad and just go knock this guy in his butt. Like, you don't have to do a lot of, I think, camp work to get yourself ready for that. So that makes sense. And Seth, hopefully for me, it is Clowney you bring in. This just, to me, lines up so much. He's going to cost what, maybe $4 million on a 1-year deal, maybe $5 million at the most. And, no future commitment at that point. You got him on a prove it year kind of deal. He was awesome here through the first stop. I just say you do it all day.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried he wants to live on the East Coast, which is why he went to Carolina in the first place. That would be my only reason that could prevent that from happening to me.
Yeah, well said. And certainly I think there's going to be plenty of people, because the price is going to be pretty low with him, that'll be on his heels. It's not like he's got like no other stop locations he can go to. I think there'll be a variety of teams that'll be like, oh, $5 million. We'll buy that for $5 million. I'll pay it. Including even the Ravens might, come back at him and be like, hey, come on back over here. Thank you though, Seth. Appreciate the kind words as well. And the donation. Richard with a $10 donation on your side says, great year to be a fair weather fan. So many league-wide stories to follow.
There always are if you're willing to pay attention to the really granular stuff, I think. But yeah, you're right.
I find the NFL as much as ever with always things kind of percolating around, and there's always a lot of stuff that is very interesting going on. The evolution of the sport is always a little bit the forefront there, but some of the team situations that are ongoing, some of the divisions that are stacked up to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be a fun year. This isn't going to be a boring NFL season. We got good quarterback play. We're not going to have to suffer from that. Is the running game, to me, one of the biggest things is, are we just going to see more of this trend that we've seen in recent years of the running game coming more to the forefront? More rushers with 300 touches for the season. Does passing offense continue to trend downward a little bit with the cover 2 shell stuff? That'll be really the forefront kind of the thing to watch for me, but a lot of cool stories out there.
The pendulum has to swing back the other way at some point. Like it's working too well. Like there were 2 teams last year that had over 3,000 yards rushing. It's got to swing back the other way at some point.
Well, I think that's where the swing back though comes into. Do you want to leave your corners isolated on the outside? Do you want to leave a single safety high? Do you want to give a quarterback that kind of option and look prior to the snap, which he's going to go after? He's going to go find his mismatch at that point. And coaches are like, no, I don't. I'll let them bleed me more slower to death and lean into that way of it, I think. So I think it's going to continue as a trend, Brendan. And I think that the heart of it's going to be the 12 personnel. And then Nate Tice spoke about this in a really cool clip a couple weeks ago, Brendan, about last year, 12 personnel was over 20% for the first time ever league-wide, 20% usage amongst offenses. And then 7% usage when it came to 13 personnel and then having a fullback, 21 personnel, like I formation kind of looks and stuff. That's almost a third of your snaps that you have, multiple tight ends out on the football field now. So I don't think it's changing as a trend. I think running the ball this year and all the much more reason why it's important for us to do it. And at the heart of our offense having success, because of the fact that this is where the league's at right now. And I think it's still a couple years away from that reverse course happening, Brendan, because there's still so many teams that are still trying to make things happen pass wise and haven't fully bought into this run game, especially when it comes to like having the linemen who can actually run block up front, because you have to lean away from usually the guys that are the dancing bears more onto the guys that can push guys off the line of scrimmage and actually get some true, Damian Lewis types, right? They can actually get some real true push.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for it to swing the other way because I know that it will. Maybe it won't happen this year, but it's going to happen eventually. Eventually, teams aren't going to let it happen anymore. You would think there always is that cylindrical flow that goes on. You do this, we do that. You do this, we do that. You do this. So it's always kind of going. It's like jujitsu. So we'll see when it does occur. But this is where it seems like it's mounting up to. But it's gonna be a fun year, Richard. Thank you for the $10 donation. Thank you.
It'll be a good year. And fair weather fans, yeah, probably a good year for us, especially for the team winning.
I prefer to call them sports atheists.
There we
They
go.
don't have a team; they just watch the sport.
It's more of a neutral. Yeah, that's a more of a neutral term. I like that. Not as much of a negative connotation to it.
Right.
HHG, thank you for the $2 donation. HHG, 4 tight ends for the game winner in the Super Bowl. That'd be pretty pimp. How about a double reverse off of a 4 tight end look, HHG?
Who throws the ball? Because it would be like the Philly special, right? It would be a Philly special. With,
yeah. It's got to be Arroyo. I think Arroyo's got a better arm than Barner. Barner's like robotic, I bet, when he tries to throw it. I bet Arroyo's got a free and easy release, and I bet Barner's got a little bit of a clunky. It takes a little bit of time for that elevator to get all the way off.
Or is it Milroe lining up at tight end?
That would be pretty pim too. Throwing back to Sam Darnold. Ooh, so double tight end reverse, back Milroe the second tight end, back to Darnold in the back of the end zone on a modified Philly special.
Darnold would drop it. Let's be real.
Be one of those slow floaters in the air where he's just looking there forever. Yeah.
You got to throw it to like Abe Lucas or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool too. I bet Abe's got some big old mitts for hands. I bet he wouldn't let that thing drop.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
Appreciate you though, HHG. I like the prediction too. That works for me. Y2K, can I with the $2 donation says, can I get a quarterback breakdown on Riley Leonard?
He's like Jalen Hurts, but he doesn't have the 9 route throws, I guess. That's kind of how I feel about him.
I think it's pretty accurate. I mean, the legs thing, like Hurts, he's got the real, not just legs where it's elusive and he can run around out there, but he's got the tough legs where I can fight through contact and shake off a tackler and still get you some more yards, and very tough and can take hits and stand in there. He's got a pretty lively arm, but it is very inaccurate across the board. Say nothing of not just the 9 routes. Pretty much any throw in the book is going to be a little bit touch and go with him. And, doesn't have a bad throwing motion. It's just the ball just doesn't come out right. Time and time again, it just kind of comes out a little bit wonky with him, and it's very unpredictable. And if you're, as a quarterback, just have that amount going on your arm that's a question mark, then it does limit you even if you got the good legs. Because with Hurts, at least there's some throws he can make that are good.
Yeah, he can throw the 9 route. He can keep the defense honest with that, and that's a big deal for him.
Yeah, it allows, because the legs aspect, or kind of like his short yardage throw stuff, basically, you can always go to his legs and scramble for 6, 7, 8 yards. He's got the big yard, the deep routes if the teams want to go that single high safety, and he gets the single matchups like I just talked about. That's why they can't just make that transition back to stopping the run, Brendan, is there's so many receivers that are so dynamic now with one-on-one opportunities. Like, you're going to give DK Metcalf a one-on-one with your cornerback on the outside, no safety help over the top. I don't want to do that. And it's like, well, that's the transition you have to make. And unfortunately, NFL, unless there's a defensive coordinator that comes up with a different way to do this, there's no other way to do it but that. You want to bring your safety into the box or not? Do you want to bring the extra help down there? Because if you don't bring the extra help, then it's all gap integrity stuff. It's every guy having to handle their gap integrity. One guy blows it, you got a big run game. First, when you get the safety down there, you have the extra man, right, Brendan? Like, you have the extra unblocked guy that can kind of float around and go find the ball carrier quicker.
Right. And anyway, beyond that, for Riley Leonard, I kind of liked him. I liked him a little bit more than most, but hard for me to believe he'll actually be like a good NFL starter. Too limited.
Yeah, I wasn't big on him as either. And I always liked it. The funniest thing I ever heard about him was that he looks like Woody from Toy Story when he's tackled or falls down. He looks just like the doll.
Yeah. Actually, I can kind of see that. I see where that's coming from.
It's very spot on. Not mine. Somebody else said it, but very funny. Appreciate you, Y2K. Jordan, thank you for the $5 donation, Jordan. And he says, glad to have you guys back. Good to have you back too, Jordan. I am pumped for this season. You should be pumped for this year, man. I think we've got an organization, Brendan, that whether you think this year is going to happen or not, I think you would agree that this is an organization overall on the right point. And that might seem like, well, every organization thinks they're on the right. Well, I think you look at a lot of organizations and you go, ugh. Like, I look at what's going on in Dallas Cowboys right now, and I'm going, I don't really like where you're heading with that. I look at Cincinnati right now with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson, and the money you just put into T. Higgins and and Jamar Chase, nobody else in the league's doing that to the receiver position at the same time. I go, oh boy, Miami Dolphins with, McDaniel there basically is almost like a lame duck status kind of coach. We could go through a lot of these teams in this league right now going, we're in so much of a better place than some of these teams are at where we're headed and even where we've been.
Yeah, there's some things we're doing that I like. There are some things I have questions about still, but those will be resolved during the season one way or the other.
Yeah. But we don't have a drama of situation or something where you've got organizationally mismanagement in how you're running the team somewhere that stands out, that's like a sore thumb, that makes you kind of a laughing stock a little bit by doing it. And there's a lot of those organizations out there right now that are just kind of shooting themselves in the foot, Brendan.
Yeah. The things that might be happening here don't seem as egregious. I don't understand why the Charles Cross extension hasn't happened yet. That would be one thing that I point to as being like, what's going on here? But that's certainly not as bad as what the Bengals are doing with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson. It's not as bad as some of the other things that you mentioned with like the Cowboys. You're right. That's more just like maybe even a difference of opinion type stuff than it is something structurally wrong.
Yeah. Just inherently bad, like the Giants with Daboll, that's another one where it's like, dude, that's just he's not going to be the long-term coach there. That's not going to work. I mean, Jackson Dart, we'll see. Not this year. Are you going to keep Daboll for another year? Oh no, we're going to go to a new coach. Well, will that new coach like Jackson Dart? Well, maybe not. You're just in that spin cycle of this ain't working out right. I can see how this is going to break wrong. And this may or may not work out here, but it is at least generally you've created the conditions, 3 straight winning seasons, the only team in NFL history with back-to-back years and winning records and not making the playoffs. You put yourself, I think, in a position to take the step forward. Where you will or not, we'll see, but you've put yourself at least in a position to do so.
Sure.
Upo over on your side with a $10 donation says, shout out to Dugar for half pressing McDonald on Fant. Tired of our local media being too friendly with the regimes. This defense ain't Philly or New York media, but I love the Seattle vibe anyway. This definitely isn't Philly or New York media, but I love it.
Right. I saw the Dugar thing. I commented in a video I made the other day.
I didn't see it. Can you?
Yeah. What was it? Basically, Dugar asked about Fant, like why was he? What happened with Fant? McDonald kind of sounded like he didn't really want to talk about it. I think the exact exchange was something like Dugar asks what happened with Fant, and then McDonald basically repeats the question back. What happened with Fant? Where you put the emphasis on a different word. He's like, what happened with Fant? And then Dugar asked, why do you release him now? And then McDonald said, we didn't release him now. We released him a couple days ago, which to me just sounds like somebody that wants to avoid talking about it.
Yeah.
And then Dugar asks why, and McDonald responds, I'm not going to get into that. There were a few different reasons. He sounded like he was not happy having to talk about it, basically.
Yeah. And I understand where Mike's coming from. I will say as well, I agree with you, Upo. I'd like to see the Seattle media be able to press a little bit more feet to the fire at times. And it's good to see Dugar doing that. And hopefully that's more of that, when the opportunities arise for that to happen, that they actually, do it. I do say that I've been on a little bit of a text chain with other people that are, some other content creators out there in the Seahawks fandom, and that, getting, for instance, credentials with the team, and that they're very protective on things. There's definitely a narrative thing from the Seattle Seahawks standpoint with how they deal with media and how they want the media to act, which is part of what might be why you don't have more media members being more pressing and being more like a Philly market or New York market, because they've said, okay, you want your access, you ain't going to have your access if you're at that way. I would not be surprised, at least, if the Seattle organization's that way, to be honest with you. And it sucks. It sucks because the media members letting them get away with kind of holding that over their head in that way, which restricts them in doing their job properly, in my opinion. But the fan thing comes down to this, and that is that you didn't know if Arroyo's health was going to be maintained. He was injured literally through the training process at the Senior Bowl. So you didn't want him to come into camp and be half broken, and then you had no other option to go to in camp. And so you wanted to wait and make sure he was signed, on camp on time, and healthy. And once he was at that point, it made Fant expendable. But if there's a bit of an inference here from Dugar's standpoint on this, that they somehow did Fant dirty on this, I would offer that this is quite the opposite direction on this and how they treated Fant, in my opinion. Because they could have, if they want to be cold blood about this, hold him through 3 weeks of camp when all the NFL teams drain out the last of their cap space for upcoming season on other players and stuff, extensions, and then you release him at that point with no options and nowhere to go. You released him at the start of training camp so that he had 32 teams that could give him a look right now, and he comes in for a full training camp for them, making him more attractive to other teams out there. To me, they did him a solid in this case, especially with the contract they gave him last year in the first place on the 2-year deal. So I don't think that this is a cold-blooded thing, Brendan.
Yeah. Some people are kind of painting it like that. I didn't really understand why. A lot of people seem to think that I guess it's not conventional for the Seahawks to release players during this time of the year, but it's also conventional for us to have Pete Carroll as the head coach slash what was he, director of player personnel,
vice president,
whatever it was. So things are going to be a little bit different now. Like one thing that people have pointed out is that McDonald is letting players and coaches fail fast. Like, look how quickly we got Jerome Baker out of here. Look how quickly we got Tyrell Dodson out of here, or Ryan Grubb. Right? These guys got 1 season or less, and then he just gets them out of here. And Pete usually didn't do things like that. Like, let's not forget that guys like L.J. Collier and D. Eskridge were allowed to be here for the entirety of their rookie deal.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned 2 guys that it really wasn't always working in our favor to hold on to guys for too long. I'd offer it almost, if you had 10 times it happened, 9 out of 10 times it wasn't smart for us to do that. When it's smarter just to cut bait, move on, save your money, go to a different direction of things. So this is the NFL, and it's not baseball, it's not basketball, it's other sports, and people can bemoan it as much as they want. There's not a way to really change this nature of this beast by the way guys get injured and short careers. This is just the way it rolls. And to me, that's where you can't take it personally or go into this thing of teams doing it dirty. Seattle Seahawks organization has been one of the more player-friendly teams in the NFL in this way for well over 15 years since Paul Allen's owned the team. I just think that there's teams and organizations you can go after in this point, like a Cincinnati team that won't even give their first-round pick a contract because they want to put a prison stipulation in there. We are not on that end of things. And so when you have people that infer that we're on that end of things, it's like, man, you're out of pocket, you're misplacing this majorly, and you're kind of, getting lost in the forest, spite the trees there, and not looking around you at what's going on with these other organizations and their teams that go way more cold-blooded than we ever have here with John.
Right. And if there are any issues going on with this team right now, a lot of them might come back to the fact that they're probably going to be sold very soon, and they're a little bit antsy about doing certain things that they otherwise would have no problem doing, which is understandable, right? This is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're making money, so it has to be some kind of a business.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it is a business, got to be run that way, and you got to be a little bit cold-blooded at times because that's just the nature of the show. But thank you, Wupo. Appreciate you for that. Matthew Clements has got 17 months on your channel of membership. Thank you for that, Matthew.
Thank you.
What's y'all's NFC West power rankings as of today?
God, that's hard. I feel like, I guess the Rams would be number 1 for me right now. I guess. Then Seattle, then San Fran, then Arizona. I guess that would probably be mine. I know like a lot of people are really high on San Fran. Their defense is too young.
Well, the vibes are, again, we're coming into a year where the vibes coming into training camp have been a little bit still it's not full shades of last year, but you've got Parasol injured again coming into camp. Juwan Jennings squawking about his contract extension that he wants. That's another part of this too, is just like, I get a feeling with them. I don't know. I'm the same place you are basically with this, where I do get torn between San Fran at 2 and Seattle at 2. But I just think that it's hard here with this. Both the Rams and the Niners are so top heavy too. It's just they lose 1 or 2 guys at just key positions, and they are such a different ball club. And I don't think that we're the same way. I don't think that we lose a Kenneth Walker and a Cooper Kupp, and then there's just no chance we can do anything on the season at that point, where I can go to any of those 2 teams and grab kind of 2 of their big guys at the top there. And if you take them out and you remove them, it's like that team looks so different. And that just, wherever position you want to rank them, Matthew, I'm saying with Niners and with the Rams, to me, it's thin. it's a little bit where I can easily see either of those two teams bounce down the bottom division with just a couple of bad injuries at real key spots.
Yeah. And even healthy, I don't think any of those teams are overwhelmingly great. Like, I think the Rams are probably number one. I don't think they're a great team, though. I think they're a deeply flawed team. And realistically, Stafford was already showing some negative signs last season. He got incredible interception luck for them to keep that season together enough to win the division. And now apparently he's already going into camp with some less than optimal injury stuff. Like I think it's the elbow now is what they're saying.
Was it the elbow or back? I thought it was the back.
Okay, maybe it is the back. Maybe it's both. Like, he is 39. Who knows?
Probably everything's hurting on that body.
Yeah. So if that happens, they got nothing. Like, who's their backup quarterback? Garoppolo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, they're dead in the water if Garoppolo's out there rocking 24/7. And I agree. That's where it's with Stafford. He's had back injuries in the past, and he's had a lot of injuries in the past. There's a lot of mileage on that car. And, when the end hits for these guys, we know, Brendan, with these older quarterbacks, and that end comes, the gates come down like a castle, man. I mean, they drop on you. It's not just a usually like subtle little decline. It's that suddenly overnight you just look like Grandpa Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think people underestimate that it's not like this gradual decline for these players most of the time. It's like a light switch. Like, Peyton Manning went from top 3 quarterback to worst starter in the league in like 6 games.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's like, Brendan, it's like the person that's, like aging, and they like have all this stuff they're putting on their face. They're doing all this stuff to like moisturize and keep it this way. And then it works through like, 40s and then low 50s. And then they get to like 56. And then just suddenly it all of what they've held back for years, the floodgates wise, just comes forward now on their face, and they age overnight almost. Like, I feel that the quarterback position is a bit like that too, because they get to go a little bit further than other places where it's like 34, 35, 36, 37. Other positions you'd be long out of the sport. You can kind of push this, but then when it hits, it's like, ooh, yeah, it came last night. It did.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Brady was a top 2 quarterback one year. The next year, he was barely worthy of being a starter, and then he retired.
Yeah.
Happens like that.
It comes quick, man. It comes quick. But thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that long time support. All of the members on each of our channels. Thank you guys for all of that. You guys you make our channels go in that membership. So I really appreciate it with that. Seth K. Aloha with another $5 donation. Thank you for that, Seth, on your side of it. Says, why is the narrative that the 49ers will have a great defense, even though 5 of their 6 starters will be rookies? Expectations are too high, in my opinion.
It's all about Saleh. They think Saleh's going to bail him out. And Saleh's great. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know if the personnel's up to it. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing with that interior? I don't love the interior. Aren't they starting with like one of their safeties already on IR? The Mustafa, yeah. So that's not great. Maybe he'll get back to.
I was talking about. Like everything, like Ayuk's still on it. He's still it's like that. Everything's coming into camp kind of a little wonked for them.
Yeah. Fred Warner's not as old as I thought. I actually looked it up recently. I thought he was a lot older than that. I feel like he's been in the league forever.
He's still playing at a high level, still probably the best inside linebacker in the sport. And hell, I think last year he played with a fracture in his foot or something like that through most of the season. But D Winters, as decent as he's played filling in, he would have been there in there 24/7 last year if he was a great replacement for Dre Greenlaw, rather than them rocking Devontae Campbell out there for as much as they did. He's a big downward bump from Greenlaw. Hufanga's out as well, so they don't have him to call upon like they've had in the past. He went to Denver too. And look, they drafted heavy. I love Michael Williams, and I think, it hurt today listening to Trent Williams talking in his press conference, Brendan, about how hard Michael Williams is to deal with just how long and big he is. The other guys you drafted, Collins, and then what was it? CJ West, the other defensive tackle they took?
Yeah, CJ West. I think that's right.
So they got run pluggers in there, definitely, and that's going to help the run defense. And look, they're trying to get ahead of this trend of teams trying to run the football, so they're trying to bring a lot of these guys in to do that. But who's rushing the passer? Bosa and Bosa and
Michael Williams, probably, right? That's you just have to hope he learns quick because
he's got to learn pretty fast, right? Yeah, he's got to learn pretty quick because he didn't show it in college, and I got hope for him to do it long term. But typically, raw edge rushers, Brendan, don't typically walk into NFL, even if they're kind of freakish, and go generate sack production, pressure production right out the jump. Those are the guys that take a little bit of time to find their footing. And so I think that that's what's going to hold this team back, is you don't have the secondary of lockdown guys on the back end to get it done. And then you're not going to have the pass rush to force it quick, because that's where the Rams get by on that. The Rams can kind of get by in a weaker secondary because of the fact that their pass rush gets home so quick and that you don't have to cover for so long. But that's not going to be the case of the Niners to me.
Yeah. They got some holes over there, and I don't think that Salah's enough to patch everything. And no. I'm also looking at that offense, and I'm like, Brock Purdy, he's right on the cusp of having an 8-yard arm. He didn't have a great arm to begin with, and with all these arm injuries he's had, it's not going to be long before he can't get the ball downfield at all.
Well, he's not having players generating the kind of separation that he did when he walked in the door. When in that first year when he walked in, I think he had 4 of the top 15 receivers/tight ends in the sport at generating separation per route run. And that means he was throwing to wide open guys when he was throwing to them. And that's not going to be the case this year with the guys you got out there on that outside either. So the Niners are in some trepidatious ground here just a little bit. And I'm not buying into those rookies being the saviors for them. So even with Robert Saleh, by the way, look, yeah, he's a good defensive coordinator theoretically, but one of the things that even Niner fans will tell you about that they're worried with him is that he's got a lot of the things Carroll did having going on with the lack of changing coverages pre to post snap. And you get in the wide 9, and look, the run stoppers are great, but if you're going to rock that wide 9 with this age of now more teams willing to go into the power runs and go downhill on you in the A and the B gaps, you widen those things out. I mean, there's the susceptibility that still does exist in this defense. Those 2 susceptibility points being the wide and the coverage and the lack of changes on the back end there, where again, you can get after him a little bit. We'll see if Saleh is as effective now as he was prior. Again, that stuff changing and being cylindrical. And we may come to find with Saleh that, some of what he was at his best at prior can't be as effective now. Not to mention, Brendan, what was their defensive line like before in his prior stop? Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, Bosa, Hyde. They had one other guy. I'm thinking Umananea, I think, or something. The guy went to the Chiefs.
It was pretty stacked. I can't remember all the names, but it was good.
They had a defensive line to get after it. So we'll see on that one, man. I'm with you, Seth. I'm not really fully buying into it either on that side. And again, one more injury or something. Say not that Purdy, but you lose a Kittle and a Warner. What's the record, Brendan? If I just knock out Kittle and Warner and I tell you, well, everyone else will be pretty healthy. Ayuk will come back week 6. What's their record? No Kittle, no Warner.
6-11, 5-12.
No Trent Williams, no DeMondre Lenore.
On top or just
a different, just as separate, just using that to just take out the 2 legs, keep the other 2 guys in.
That's probably about the same.
See what I mean on that? So you're kind of
like maybe go 7 there, but yeah.
Maybe 7, but there's the same kind of point that it's the same thing where it's just 2 of those main guys that you have set up on that team, and you're out. We lose a Leonard Williams and we lose a Woolen. We're not out. Yeah, it's going to be harder. Yeah, we ain't going to be in as good a spot, but we're not out. And I think with the Rams and Niners, they're out if they lose 2 of those major guys. Puka Nacua and Jared Verse. What does their season look like? Yeah.
That might be like a 4-win team.
See what I mean? So you're with me on this. Like it's not, I mean, it's just 2 guys, but I can kick out 2 of the key legs, and it's like, Devontae Adams and, Alaric Jackson, your left tackle with Stafford back there. Now you don't have your left tackle and Stafford back there at 30, whatever years old he is. Again, I'm maybe 6 wins. You're down really quickly there just then. And football's like that.
Even someone like Akella Witherspoon.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. I mean, he's their number one. They're right. And they don't got Ramsey in there now. So they have to have him running, Right. They're hoping the Slim Reaper can be the guy opposite him. And by the way, that Ram secondary, those Ram cornerbacks, if Slim Reaper's out there on the other side and he's out there on the other end, like they are not going to tackle. That is not will not be a secondary that tackles for their life if they're rocking those 2 guys on the outside at the same time.
It's a great point.
I'm running wide. I'm running wide zone all day long, Brennan, all day. And I'm coming down. I'm bringing my receiver down. I'm pinning the defensive end, and I'm going to just leave that mother effer out in space up against Walker 1-on-1 all day long. That's what I'm going to do. Just pin down with the receiver and then run him out there in the edge.
Historically, the Niners always beat the Rams. So what you're saying is that should continue if they keep running their outside zone.
It should, because these guys do not tackle. And my friend Jake, they're over at that Rams channel that he runs. It's like he loves the coverage ability of the Kilo. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to see with the tackling. That's why this guy's bounced around the league. It's not because he can't cover, it's because he doesn't want to tackle, and teams are aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we got Reek Woolen, who I think is a lot better than Akella Witherspoon.
I would agree with that.
And look at what Woolen. Look at what Shanahan did to Woolen a couple years ago. Actually got him on the bench because he kept making him tackle and he couldn't do it.
Modern offenses will isolate you in that way. They will absolutely do it, and they can with the scheme. And they can get the blockers to one side of the field to where they can leave your corner out there on the island to do it. So there's nowhere to run. You could do it like in the Deion Sanders area where you could kind of have a corner you somewhat protected because teams weren't running the outside zone as much. They weren't out getting to the edges as much, but not anymore, man. Now teams will find a way to get that guy and pick on him. Michael Bicknell, thank you for the $5 donation, Michael. Says Kupp should be productive and healthy this season. Rams used him like Niners used McCaffrey. He won't have to be the workhorse on the Hawks. I'm excited.
Yeah. My understanding, I know Dan Viennes is at training camp right now, and he said that Kupp looks healthy right now. So we're getting off to a good start there. Hopefully it holds up.
Yeah, I would hope so as well. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not expecting 17 games from him, though. I'll say that right now. I'm hoping it's like 14. If we can get 14, I'm very happy with that.
And that's part of that new model you and I have talked about where it comes to not just receivers, but any position right now. 17-game season, a couple of Thursday night games. The new model, especially when we go to 18 games, this is even going to be even more reinforced, Brendan, which is that it is more about the collective, and that you used to 10 years ago, maybe it is just that one receiver for 16 games and you're riding on his back and stay healthy and make it roll. Now it is going to be a bit of putting things together from a cobble fashion. You and I talked about Nwosu Clowney. I get 10 games of Clowney. I get 7 games of Nwosu. I get good edge play from the combination of those guys at a decent price. Not the worst of ways to go in this modern era to build in a little bit of that. Look, not everybody's going to be able to get through this full schedule anymore. It's brutal. Guys just aren't. Guys are getting injured more. It's just the way it is. And so I agree with you. Just getting at least that collection of games out of him should be really good. I do worry Michael a little bit with Kupp, and then it's the same thing like with Deebo Samuel, where you get these seasons where these teams use these guys up this much, where they're just, riding that mule up the Grand Canyon, another trip today, and the mule's just and it can't breathe, and like another trip. And then did you take something out of him a little bit? Like the old Princess Bride. Remember the machine in Princess Bride where they could take a year off your life? Did you ever see that movie where he's like, that was a year of your life? Like, did it sort of take like 3-4 years of Kupp's, professional life off, a little bit of that Triple Crown, and a couple of those years where they just, Michael, you're right. They used him like that.
Oh yeah. The Princess Bride is actually one of those movies I've not seen, but I know what you're talking about because I know what happens in the movie. But that is one of the movies that everybody has seen that I have not.
You got to check it out, man. It still holds up pretty well. It's obviously a little dated because it's getting up there in age, but it's a good movie. It's got a good heart, and it's a cool theory of a machine, like a machine that just simply takes years off your life.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of stuff lately because I've been doing a lot of video editing lately for some, like putting together cut-ups and stuff. I'm trying some new stuff, and I just watch stuff in the background, and I haven't been watching a lot of stuff the last couple of years, so it's been nice to catch up.
There's those classics that actually hold up. You can go back and watch them. They did a good job on, especially with some of the new Hollywood productions, which are like, Lordy. Right. Thank you though, Michael. Appreciate you for that. Over on your side, Jordan, with a $5. Stafford looked last year like Breeze the year he started declining.
Yeah, I feel like he's got a little bit more arm than Breeze did when he started declining. But in terms of the actual play, I think that's pretty good. Like Stafford had insane interception luck last year. We all saw that Cardinals game that kind of sunk us last year. Stafford probably should have had like 6 interceptions in that game, and he had, I think, 0.
Yeah, I think that it's where it comes down to me is the lower half with Stafford. And with most of these quarterbacks, it's not necessarily the arms lost, though with Breeze, it was that his arm was just lost. And I think with Breeze, he was a unique guy getting older because he had the arm injuries early on in his career where the doctors kind of like stitched it together and it was holding on for dear life. And like, even now in retirement, he can't even throw a football, I guess, or barely can you do a throwing motion anymore. It hurt without just being complete pain. So Stafford does, like Brendan said, have more of the arm ability that he falls back on, a la like, let's say Brett Favre. Like Favre got older and okay, doesn't have the mobility, but still can be, kind of cannon it up when he wants to let it rip. But I think that one of the reasons those interception near misses happened, Brendan, with him last year is because times where maybe in a younger self, he would get away and use a little bit of his mobility to get away from the pressure. He couldn't. And so now you're trying to do that throw where you're just going to try to lace it in there a little tighter, get it in there in a little bit of a shorter spot there, and where you wouldn't make that throw in previous years because you just know you can't get away. And I think that that's where the decline starts to really hit him in a major way. I said watching him doing the when he had to get to outside zone, it's one of my it made me laugh so hard last year, Brendan, the opening week of the season, because the camera got right in. I know I think I've told you the story, but camera got right on his face and he's got to go to the outside zone and hand it off. And I'm hearing chariots of fire in my head as I'm watching him because they did the slow motion with him. Like he does the play and you're like, man, he really struggled to get out there to that outside zone. Like he was running like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible to get out there to that wide. And then they go to the slow motion, and he's like, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And you see like panic on his face that he's not going to reach the handoff, like he's going and he's like, and then he finally just barely gets the handoff there, extended out to Kyron, and Kyron takes it, and he's getting old, aren't you there, Matt?
Yeah.
Getting up there just a little bit.
And like we were just talking about, when it happens, it's going to happen very fast. It's not going to be a gradual over 3-year thing. One day he's just not going to be a competent quarterback anymore.
It is going to come. And it's the way it's hit for all these quarterbacks, even these guys, they get Peyton Manning, MVP, best offensive season in history, right? All the yards they threw for. And then within 2 years, a shell of himself.
Right.
And so it is just the way it goes. They get a little bit more of an elongated shelf life to these quarterbacks, these star quarterbacks, Jordan, to your point on that, but and Brent's point on it, but it will absolutely land at some point or another. And he's close to that time. He's played a long time, especially considering all the playoffs in addition in recent years. It's a lot of time.
Even Russell Wilson's not a bad example. He threw 40 touchdowns in 2020. Next year, kind of sort of had that 1 year where he was just okay. And then the next year he was the worst quarterback in the league. And he's come back the next couple of years as kind of like a Jimmy Garoppolo type who can hand the ball off a lot and then run a ball control offense. But he came off that top 5 mantle in an instant. It's not like LeBron. LeBron has been kind of slowly diminishing over the last 6 years or something, but that doesn't happen in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, with Russell, there's people that'll say there's a game in 2020 like the Cardinals that he got concussed and it broke him and he was never the same. I mean, there's fans that'll tell you that on it, down to like one game where you could see the line of the age basically turn over, the page, right, to your point, turn over. And certainly Russell as well aged really, really fast. And so it may be at 34, maybe 35, maybe it's at 38, but when the age comes, it's not going to hit with that, like LeBron. And LeBron, I think, is aided by it's a hell of a drug, that HGH, you know what I mean? It's a hell of a drug.
Probably. I mean, there have been people that have said, look, I know his dealer. There have definitely been people out there who have said it trust me, it's happening.
There's no way you're playing at the age he's playing at and doing what he's done through all these years. And unless he's being aided chemically, I don't think he's that. He's a freak. That's for sure. Freak show, like as far as talent and physical ability and all that. But I would bet quite a lot of money on the fact that Mr. LeBron's had some aids, some helping hands on that one in the syringe fashion things.
Basketball players are able to kind of, generally speaking, age a little more gracefully, I think, anyway.
They are. And especially if you're born with like he was, or like Vince Carter was, with those natural like super gifts, it's that whole thing of like NFL players where you lose the step, but you're still damn fast. So it's like,
right.
It ain't the worst thing there. Along this, thank you for the 20. Very kind of you, along this. Thank you for the $20 donation. Really, really kind of you. You guys have been amazing today. We haven't been able to get through the donos today, just so many. And you guys are kicking us off right here with the new B&B year. So I really do appreciate you for that. He says copium and hopium are the best drugs this time of year.
Yeah. Early in the football season is like Christmas, but that like 80% of the fans are going to wake up on Christmas morning and Santa's going to be there with a chainsaw to kill them and their whole family. Like, you understand that, but it's still Christmas Eve, right? Just because there's an 80% chance you're not going to get what you want and Santa's going to kill everybody doesn't change the fact that it's still Christmas Eve, and it's like great things are possible. Every fan base is feeling like that right now. Great things can happen.
Isn't it a great thing of the sport, though, too, this is why is football running things? Why is football on top of things right now, Brennan? And it's because you don't get this in other sports. That optimism you just spoke about, that hopium, the copium, the we've got a chance this year if this just goes this way for us thing that every NFL team feels. The Raiders organization that's been stuck in a plight for 30 years with no hope, with a fandom that said, well, there's no chance of us. They're saying we got a Super Bowl champion coach. We got a national title winning coach. We just drafted the best running back that's come out in maybe the last 15 years. We got a chance this year in that division. And I think that you can't do that in other sports. Even our Mariner team in Seattle, we knew they were a good team coming in here, Brendan, right? You knew they were a good team coming into this season. You know that they have but you had to sit there and go, well, if everything breaks right in our favor, if all turns in the right way, if everything goes in here, then we could maybe potentially get in the playoffs. And then we'll probably run out of gas in the playoffs like we did in the mid-90s.
Well, baseball's weird, right? Baseball's just this weird sport that turns into like a random number generator in the playoffs. So you get in, then you kind of just say, leave it up to fate. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of baseball teams that went into this season with zero hope. Like, I'm sure Athletics fans knew what this season was going to be. I'm sure that White Sox fans knew what this season was going to be. And basketball, you have, Bobcats fans they're the Hornets now.
It's hard to keep track.
Yeah. Hornets fans, they know they're never. Wizards fans, the Wizards fans probably just think they're never going to be good ever. And they're probably right.
And it's bad for the sport. They're stuck there for years without any hope of you being able to turn it around. And that's not what sports should be about, which is that all teams got a feeling of having at least a chance, whether it's going to be proven true or not. Your heart's going to be maybe broken a point, but that sense of hope and that sense of optimism should be there with other sports in theory. There's reasons it's not, like baseball with its stupid salary, not lack of salary cap, and owners going crazy on the other end of it. But I love that about this sport. Everybody's got a chance. It's any given Sunday too. This matches up when you get to the season, because it isn't just about you got a chance to start the year. It's also, we know any given Sunday, any NFL team can beat another NFL team. Even when it's great, even when it's bad. If that great team doesn't show up that day, if they just didn't do their work that week, they can get knocked off. And I think that makes it just that much more intriguing to watch.
Absolutely. I love it.
Thank you, though, for that long this. Very kind of you. Very kind of you. And well said on your part as well. Me coming in with two big $50 donations. Got to do this. Well, first, here's an applause here for throwing this on the $20 donation drop. So let's get him there with that. And then we've got me coming in with a big $50 donation. Please clap.
All right.
Me, thank you for the $50 dono drop. He says, but Aquilio is going to get a full camp this year, says Jake. That's Jake's big thing. When I push him on this year is he's because Jake's big Aquilio Witherspoon guy was last year. And then, proven a little bit correct as far as Aquilio getting the key interception at the end of the year on that play that should have been a non-catch, right? Where the ball's literally,
right.
He's pounding the turf with the ball like this. And they're like, no, the ball didn't move. It's a catch. But, his big thing now this year is that he's like, well, he's going to get an offseason with the Rams. He knows he's going to be the starter, and this is going to get you the best version of Aquilio Witherspoon. I'm like, Jake, we had him here. We got rid of him before the season started with a thin cornerback room.
And Pete never does that, ever.
He never does that. When teams do this type of stuff, you can read a little bit that there's something into it. They're not going to let guys go if they're that good on it. It's like, no, he just for whatever reason, that's not the way the NFL works. They need good cornerbacks if you can cover. They're letting you go. There's something to it other than that, So yeah, we'll see on that. I will tell you this: when I get to watch him bust a tackle in the open field in some of these games, I'm going to get the clip and I'm going to definitely include Jake on the post on X when I do it to show him, like, see, this is why. This right here, Jake. This right here, this thing.
Are you doing a roundtable this year?
I am. Yeah,
okay,
we're going to
we're doing it on the show. Maybe you can even play the clip on the show.
Oh, I will. Oh yeah. I'll be like, here, get the host. Can you play this for Jake? Just notice the lack of breakdown. Notice the complete disinterest and a willingness to wrap up. Notice he just completely turn away as the ball carrier approaches him. But we'll see. They didn't get Ramsey, which was good news, Brendan, as far as, that goes for, us. I think that made him a lot tougher if they get Ramsey in there. And now they're that cornerback room, which is already a little thin. One injury here, one underperforming guy there. And now it's a really, really legitimate weak group. And they already have a kind of a weak group when it comes to their inside linebackers, and their safeties are just kind of about average. So
yeah, I'm actually sitting here. How many guys on that defense can I name off the top of my head? Verse, Witherspoon, the Braden Fisk, right? That's his name.
Braden Fisk in there. Joey got Kobe Turner. Mostly the defensive lineman that when you think of, you're like, that's all you can. And they got a good line, but Puna Ford.
Oh yeah, they got Puna. I like Puna. That's not bad, but another defensive lineman. I don't know who their linebackers are right now.
Well, they're trying to rock Troy Reader out there again. They're still rocking the Reader train.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. They don't like inside linebackers, man. They don't pay him. They did take Paul. Did you like Chris Paul? The 250?
No, he's too small. I can't take him seriously.
He's a very small dude. Both the Niners and Rams, Nick Martin too, went to the Niners in the 3rd round. Like, they went tiny inside linebacker. I mean, I'm talking tiny inside linebacker.
Move to safety is what needs to happen.
You might have to. I know that the linebackers inside have been getting lighter and lighter, but 215 pounds he's like 5'11" too or something. I don't know how that's going to work. How are you going to get off blocks? I mean, you better be cat lightning quick at that size.
Right.
You're going to pull it off of that. We also got me coming in with a little bit of another $50 donation here from Brendan.
Clap.
All right.
Thank you for that, my man. Me been so very kind throughout the offseason, helping to keep the lights on over on my side as well with these big monster donations. And that's very, 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 very kind of you, me. I really, really appreciate you for that double dip donation on both sides of it here. And you guys have been just tremendous as ever with a ton of donations in on the channel. And really do thank you guys for that, as we will be coming through strong as ever this year. We will be doing the bare minimum Thursday shows, and we will try to get a couple of other shows mixed in there as maybe news comes down the line that's worthy of discussion or that we need to, cover that does pop up. Maybe if we get a Micah Parsons trade down the line, I'm trying to kind of speak it into being here, maybe a bit here, Brendan, on that one. But I mean, Brady put the thing. I mean, Brady lit this wick, right? He lit the wick here. That's all I'm saying. I mean, he literally is basically giving us a wink with that thing.
Yeah, and it's not just him, right? I mean, it makes sense. We need superstar players. We could use an edge rusher for the long term. Like, we're not really married to any of our edge rushers right now. Like, all these guys could be gone in a year and it wouldn't be shocking. And Parsons, a player this good, this young, should never, ever be available on a trade, but he is, because the Cowboys are probably misplaying this. So when the opportunity is there to get something like this, you got to at least think about jumping on top of it.
I think you really got to do, and I don't think you can get worried necessarily about the cost on this, because if you trust in the team you've built and you add this kind of piece, you should know that that's the type of team now that should contend, or you haven't built it in the right way. Or, maybe you just look at it like you're still further off, which could also be kind of fair too, where they're like, look, it's a wait and see year. We don't quite know. So we don't want to make this trade unless we know. We've been bitten the butt in the past with like Percy Harvin trade and signing guys. This one's a little bit different to me. There's not a question of use. There's not a question about, him being a troubled as far as that stuff was dodging Harvin going back to his days at Florida. I don't think that's going to be the case in what you're looking at with Micah Parsons. So we'll see if there's a move here, Brendan, for them to make. But we've got our team in, I think, a good position as we could ask. We walked into training camp basically healthy, save for Uchenna. We've got no holdouts, no contract disputes, no drama or tumultuousness. We've got a rookie signed and in camp and healthy. Walter Nolan for your Arizona Cardinals, a guy that I don't think either of us were. I was much lower, I think, than you were, but I don't think you were super high on him either.
I didn't think he should have been a first-round pick.
You heard about the calf strain he had?
Yeah, I have heard that. Yes,
might keep him out. And I worried about that motor work ethic, calf strain. You haven't even started out training camp. You already got a calf strain in the first couple of days. Well, did you have your body really truly prepared to play at that point? I'm connecting dots there, but I don't know about that guy. I don't know on that one. We'll see with it how it goes there with him.
Yeah, the Cardinals did make a lot of upgrades to their defensive line beyond just Nolan, though. So it's not just that. I mean, A couple people pointed out they had nothing on that defensive line last year, and they have overhauled the whole thing.
And they've got a lot of youngsters that are going to come back that should take steps forward and that do have a lot of talent, be it Ojulari or be it Darius Robinson, that they didn't get anything out of. That there's still something there with those guys as far as potentiality goes in their level of play in addition to what they have in that line. So it will be better. It's not all rocking on Walter Nolan to come in there and make it go for them. They're going to be a tough team this year, as they've gotten steadily better under Gannon in the past couple of years. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Woo! We got Long this coming in with $100 donation. Let's go. Let's go. Very kind of you, Long this already with a $20 donation on the books, dropping another $100 donation drop. Thank you for that, my brother. Yeah. Really, really, really appreciate it. He says, I'm not being mean, but I expect the Hawks and Cards will be fighting for third in the West this year. I don't think it's mean.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility. I think that it's on the table. And I think that, again, if something like that happens, it's going to come back to lack of star power. We have a lot of good players. We have some very good players. Maybe we even have great players, but there's a deficiency on this team of truly elite players at their position. And think about the Seahawks teams that were great more than 10 years ago. Think about those teams. They had Sherman was probably the second, or he was either one or two on the cornerback list at that time. Earl was the best safety in the league at that time. Cam was one of the two best strong safeties. Bobby Wagner was one of the 2 or 3 best inside linebackers. Like over and over again, they had some of the best players in the league. Marshawn was a top 3 running back for a period of time there. Yeah, that's what's missing here. And I can acknowledge that it's not there right now going into the season. So if that ends up being the thing that costs us a good season, I'm not going to be completely shocked by it.
Yeah, I think along this, it's completely in line in what you're saying is a possibility in the way that this could go. I did mention, and you saw with me and Brendan, that we did have Seattle in at second place. And as far as the pecking order power rankings go, I think some of that is me and Brendan looking at the two teams that have the same kind of situation going on that we just talked about in the Rams and the Niners, being that you both have that top heavy thing going on. You have an aging roster in certain spots. You're right there on that knife's edge of this goes wrong, that goes wrong, and you're sunk. And I don't think that will be it with the Cardinals or the Hawks that we're in that same kind of position. Now, if they stay healthy and they don't get sunk in that way, those teams have a lot of talent. And in the Niners case, they got the easiest schedule in football to go out there and go push for 13, 14 wins this year without blinking. And so if you were to say we get to third place because that plays out partially because of that as much as us not taking the steps forward, I'd say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Not to mention you're bringing in a new quarterback in his first year here and a new offensive coordinator. I don't think that history would say that in general terms, remove all the other stuff, Brendan, remove everything else. If we just take that in general terms of those conditions, that tends to be that you're lighting the world on fire in that first year right out the gate. I think to Matt Ryan and Shanahan in that first year where it was a little bit rough the first year with those guys. Shanahan and who was the one when he was in Atlanta there? Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Yeah, Matt Ryan.
And that it was a little bit up and down that first year, but then the second year you got the MVP season out of Ryan. Right. I think there's reasons we can kick this faster, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a little bit slower on the other side.
Yeah, it would not shock me. I'm coming into this season with an open mind, but that goes both ways.
Yeah. And I'm the same way with this long. This definitely hopeful and definitely prognosticating that this team does get in the playoffs this year and take a step forward with that. But I can understand completely how, there's a lot of unknown here versus the known you'd like to have walking into it. And the teams at the top of this division in the Rams and the Niners are legit. And if they stay healthy, that they've got the rosters that can go out there and be a problem for us. I mean, again, come down to it, Brendan. I think that this division wouldn't shock me in the least if we come out at the end of the season and this is once again the strongest division in all of football.
I'm hoping it's not tougher than like the AFC West is probably going to be. Like the AFC West, you've got the NFC, it's the North. Yeah, the North. I hope we're not tougher than those divisions. That would be hard to overcome.
It would be tough, man, but it's wild if you look at the last 10 years and when all the records are all settled out and when everybody's, you get the final game of the year, how many times this division has been that division sitting on the top of things or number 2 right in there. And I don't like it. I'd like to have a little more of a feast factor, dude, to where we can beat up on some weak Nellies there throughout the season a little bit to kind of catch a couple breaks in there. And that's the other way this could turn too with this long. This is that, you get both the Rams and Niners, let's say, do sustain those key injuries and both teams have it happen at the same time with the aging rosters, suddenly now this division gets a little bit easier if it goes to the other side too. So there's the way this could work to the other end of the scale. We come back to the thing you brought up before on this long list about the copium and hopium, about all there's so many different realities to the way the NFL season can play out. It's not fixed. It's not on that path where I'm the Dodgers in baseball. I've spent $375 million on my payroll. I'm not going to be bad. We're going to be maybe not great, but we're going to be good to just right on the precipice of great, if not there.
Right. I think that's probably about a pretty fair assessment about where things stand right now. But some of these divisions, man, I don't know. Like I think that the NFC North, that's going to be a bloodbath all year, I feel like.
So I feel like Detroit takes a step back this year.
They will, but they'll be good, right? They'll be good. They should be. Ben Johnson's a big loss there to me. And I look at where their defense is at as well. They've already lost Ozaruke for the season there. They've got their inside linebacker with an injury. Remember how snake-bitten they got already last year with it? It feels like almost there's a carryover here to them this year on the injury front of things. Minnesota's got a rookie quarterback out there. I understand that they've stacked that roster up, and it's a good roster. It is, but that still is a rookie year of a quarterback. I was watching that breakdown with the Coleman's doing with Schneider, and they're talking about how like Darnold's season he had last year with the Vikings. If that's a rookie quarterback productive year, that's a rookie quarterback coming in and producing that season. It's like kind of an all-time rookie year for a quarterback. There's never been anything like that.
Right. So it's like
the best rookie quarterback year ever is probably Andrew Luck.
Right.
And the numerically, at least Darnold was way better than that.
Right. So it's down to like, he's not likely to replicate that from the QB position. So they're, kind of like, maybe not, they've done some stuff. They've been aggressive this offseason. This is the hard to predict part, but even the Bears situation to them there, you rebuilt the offensive line. We'll see. It wasn't built with like a collection of great parts. Like Jonah Jackson failed out as a free agent with the Rams, but now he'll work over here. Joe Thuney at the end of his career, 33 years old, is, he's still going to be able to play to perform at a high level at that age. We'll see. We'll see on that side of it with it. And they went out and they drafted more receivers too, Brendan. I mean, the Burden pick makes no sense to the Bears to me with what you've already done there with the receiver position. And then you got a tight end in addition to it. It just seems like kind of more of what they did last year, where you're like skill position player driven a bit in what you're doing. You're going to have him throwing the ball too much and Caleb Williams. We'll see. I could see him being, you're not wrong in that there's a potential for that North to be really good, but I think that's a division too that's getting a little bit hyped up falsely versus, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see on that one.
Yeah, O'Connell's too good, I think. That Vikings team, they'll not be as good, I'm sure. But he'll cover for it.
I think they definitely get to your point, 10 or 11 wins. But I think that is a little bit of where they step back, and I could see the Lions with the step back, and the Bears still not quite able to push, fully through, and then maybe the Packers take the division or something, and then they get out with like 11 to 12 wins. They'll be a good division. Don't get me wrong there. It will be every team will be tough to deal with, but we'll see. And AFC West, I don't know on that one. I think those teams got a little bit of an easier schedule last year and what they got to roll through, and that kind of helped out Bo Nix and company. And this year their schedules are going to be a bit tougher. We'll see how it rolls with them.
The team should be better, though. I feel like that team is better.
Yeah. And the Raiders will be better, too. You're right there. I mean, those two teams even the Chargers, theoretically should be better under Harbaugh in year two.
Right. And, the Chiefs, hopefully, for them anyway, they have their left tackle situation solved long term. If they can get that under control, things will probably be better for them, too.
Bold prediction, Chiefs don't make the playoffs.
Really? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm definitely not doing that. Like, that defense is too good. They still have Spags. Their receivers can't be worse than they've been over the last couple of years. I have a hard time with that one.
I don't know about that receiver thing. I agree with you on all the other stuff, but we'll see with that receiving core if it's ready to be legitimate like that or not. I think too the tight end position for them is going to be. We already started with Kelsey kind of starting to slow down last year, and he's getting way up there. We'll see. That was my bold take for the season there that somebody's asking me about though, and I had just an itching suspicion.
I do think Kelsey's cooked, but it'll probably be something where he doesn't do anything during the season, and then he'll have some random 12 catch game in the AFC title game or something like that.
Well, and even Mahomes the last couple of years hasn't looked like Mahomes did, like when he was looking like he was on GOAT goat run playing. He's kind of come down to earth a little bit himself here.
I think that has more to do with the receivers being so substandard, and also the left tackle spot's been a revolving door there.
Yeah,
I think that has more to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, their offensive line was back to that broken down state last year at the end of the season, and certainly since Tyreek Hill's left, they haven't, had the same kind of deal going on there. So,
right,
that's true. We've got a $50 donation over onto Brendan's side of this. You guys dropping the big old donos today. Appreciate you out there.
I have a soundboard too, but it won't work on StreamYard. It will only work through my OBS.
Oh, geez. Huh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. And most of my sound clips would just get this stream demonetized anyway. So don't worry about it too much. One of them is the guy playing Titanic on the recorder. And because it is the My Heart Will Go On thing, even though it's being played on recorder, it still gets you dinged.
I hate that with the music, because they'll let you get through with the video stuff, and you can do a clip of a movie for 5 seconds is okay. But if you use 3 seconds of a song, it's really for a 3-second clip, it's gonna seriously. But yeah, they're hardcore about it.
Yeah, sometimes you can't even sing a song yourself. You can sing a song yourself on stream and get demonetized for it.
Yes. Come on, man. So ridiculous. Meanwhile, they're paying streamers a quarter of a cent for plays on Spotify. I'm
right.
Okay. All right. Rayleman Lives, thank you for the $50 donation over on Brendan's side of it. You're really kind for that. It says, no. The Hawks win the West. Some saw saying Milroe shined in camp today. For what it's worth, let the games begin. Yeah, Jalen Milroe, everything's fixed. Had you heard, Brendan? The throwing motion's fixed. All the problems are fixed. He's good.
Yeah, I did see a couple things that were encouraging. Corbin was talking about it during rookie. It was OTAs. He was talking about this. We'll see what happens when he's actually under fire. Because right now, remember, they can't tackle. Quarterbacks probably aren't even really getting rushed all that much. There's still a ways to go here. But I will say he's got the right attitude so far. It seems like that if this can work, he's going to give everything he has into making it work.
Yeah, it seems like there's a work ethic involved here that I think a lot of times, to Brendan's point in this, Ray Lemon, that when you have a quarterback that has natural gifts, but then also has so many other things he needs to overcome and work on and fix, that you don't get the work ethic in tandem with that. That's a guy that's just kind of getting by on his natural ability, a la like a Cam Newton, who I don't ever think really refined his throwing motion and really got it better over time. I feel like he kind of was the player he was when he walked in the door, almost just about as a rookie. So he's got the work ethic that can allow him to maybe give him a chance to go out there and do this. I still find myself in the firm camp of saying, outside of those snaps you're giving him out there to kind of work him in as a curveball for Sam Darnold for 6-7% of the snaps game here and there, that you let him sit on the bench aside from that. You don't, if something happens with Sam, start Drew Lock, keep Jalen Milroe in that role then. Don't thrust him out this year. Try to give him the 2 years to sit on the bench to get the kinks worked out.
Yeah. I don't think there's any decision to make there, honestly. And you just gave Sam Darnold $100 million contract. Don't mess with him by trying to put Jalen Milroe's footsteps right behind him. Have confidence in him until he does something to make you lose all confidence in him.
Well, and to your point though, with the let the games begin, like Rayleman's intimating here a little bit, you and I are going to be having a lot of conversations within our own chat over the next 6 months in regards to trying to tap those breaks, those exact same breaks. If you gave this guy the money, let this thing, don't rush him out there. You don't need to rush him out there. The specter of Russell Wilson and how Russell had instantaneous, really good play right out the gate and how magical he was. I want that again. And I get it, but really we got to let this thing be patient and let him have his chance to develop, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a big Sam Darnold fan. I don't think he's a very good quarterback, but I want to give him this chance, and I want to give him a full chance to be the guy for the Seahawks. Yeah. I don't want to take Milroe to the Coldplay concert right now. I'm People are going to see, Sam Darnold's going to see that. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to have to get divorced with Sam Darnold before we even get the chance. No, don't take him to the Coldplay concert. Take him somewhere where nobody else is going to be. At least go to I don't know. Where do people not go to concerts anymore? Hey.
You will take him to the Vegas Dome because at least you're in the light under darkness. Nobody can see you there. You got to take him to something. And I just got the picture now of Mike McDonald holding Milrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And Schneider, well, is it McDonald or would it be Schneider?
No, it'd have to be McDonald because he'd have to make the call on. I don't think Schneider would come in and say you got to start him, but I could see McDonald just being like, he's just like Lamar, just like Lamar.
Yeah, but Schneider's the one who would like Coldplay. I don't think McDonald likes Coldplay.
Agreed. I think Schneider would be way more of a Coldplay guy than McDonald. McDonald strikes me as a metal guy for some reason.
Yeah, actually, I like it.
See him being randomly into just like I'm talking Rammstein type, I mean, getting after it metal. Yeah,
I like it. My best friend's super into metal. He loves like the Sabaton stuff. He loves the really, really hard stuff.
Oh yeah, it goes nuts, man. They definitely go rough with it. So, but thank you, Rayleman. Appreciate you, man, for that support. And like you say, let the games begin as far as the quarterback competition battle goes and all of that. I think Sam will get locked up here, but that won't stop the reporters from getting the fans out there super, super stoked for it. Long this coming in with another $100 donation, man. Let's go. Man, very, very, very kind of you, Long this, for that big time donation. You've dropped a couple of big monsters in the chat here today. And you guys are, as always, amazingly kind in all of your support to both of our two channels. It's really, really appreciated everything you guys do for us on this. And thank you, man. Long this, just amazing support today on the channel. Absolutely unbelievable. He says, Matt Stafford's health matters. Quarterback health matters for everyone. But the Rams are the third youngest roster in the NFL. The front, outside linebacker, defensive end, nose tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker are scary good and young. Alaric Jackson, sure.
I don't think they're the third youngest roster in the NFL now. Maybe they were last year, because this year you've got Stafford, but now you also have Devontae Adams. You have Troy Reader, who's pretty old at this point. I'd be surprised if they're third youngest at this point.
I've got the information actually here. It was up on, I found it up on X today, so I saved this. I'm looking right now where they're at here. So the Los Angeles Rams right now, average age is 26 years old. And really? That, to Brendan's point, that puts them at 17th.
That's still younger than I would have guessed. That's younger than I would have guessed.
Yeah, they've got the, I mean, whether, you got the Cam Kitchens out there, your whole defensive line outside of Puna's really young. Your offensive line's relatively young there, right? They've got some pretty young guys there with it. So it kind of makes sense with it. There's definitely some exciting parts. I think when you touch on to me along this when you talk about outside line, and you listed outside linebacker twice, by the way, which is, I would just say on this, outside linebacker and defensive end in the Rams defense are essentially the same position.
Right.
And I would offer that with nose tackle, they're not necessarily particularly strong. Puna Ford's been a 3-tech for a very long period of time. That's mainly what he is he's kind of like Jaron Reed, where it's like you'll get a smattering of snaps at the nose tackle, but he's a 3-tech now. Mm-hmm. Kobe Turner's the same way, more 3-tech than nose tackle. Braden Fisk is a purified 3-tech. Now they're actually they lost, who was it they had? They had the, what was it?
Oh, the UW guy. They had, the guy from UW. Shoot, what was his name? I know who you're talking about. Yeah, there was Bobby Brown, but there was also one other guy they had. I can't remember his name, and he went to UW. That's embarrassing.
But
it'll come to me.
It's just the point. I'll agree with you completely along this. Outside linebacker, dynamic as hell. 3-tech is as good as you'll find in the sport. But I would say nose tackle is a little bit lean for them. And then when you look to inside linebacker is incredibly light. Cornerback is incredibly light. And then safety is just kind of average. And I think that's where, to me, they do have that pretty stark weakness there on that defense within that. What they're able to essentially do is, because it's so dynamic up front, they protect the back end so well. Linebackers and all that, because those guys do such a good job. And maybe this is a bit of a model that works for them that they can continue this year, and that we come to find that like Rams are ahead of this, and that what they've done is they've driven everything to the defensive line, and the defensive line is driving everything for them defensively. Could be that it plays out that way, but I would reckon that there is definitely some weakness in there to that on that side of it. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Greg Gaines was the guy I was thinking of.
Oh, okay, there we go.
But
yeah,
he hasn't been there for a couple years, I guess. So okay.
But they did just lose their one tech guy they had out there mainly last year. They lost into free agency, being I think it was Bobby Brown. And when I looked at their roster, they're very light up front. And remember the Eagles last year and what they did with their zone attack is come downhill at them, attack that lightness, attack the inside linebackers that could struggle to get off blocks at times, and then just get after it. And then the Rams kind of got countered on that because they didn't have enough pass rush opportunities to be able to get them behind the sticks and do what they do best, which is run their stunts and twists and get after the quarterback. So that's where you can kind of counter that to them, I think, a little bit. And like we walked into their trap last year with our offensive designs because we want to throw the ball 70% of the times. That's walking into the jaws of the Rams beast last year and how Grubb designed those games.
Right. Thought experiment. If every team in the NFC West has their starting quarterback go down, who do you think wins the division?
Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I think so too. So for whatever that's worth, I understand that not every quarterback is going to get hurt, but you feel pretty good in that spot, right? We got Drew Lock with a run-first offense. The Rams have Jimmy Garoppolo trying to run McVay's offense. The Niners have who's their backup quarterback? It's not. I always default
Curtis Rourke.
Yeah, I always default to thinking their backup quarterback is Nick Mullins. Like in my head, he's just always going to be their backup quarterback.
Yeah, he was there for a little bit. I forget who they got. It's not anybody notable. They did draft Curtis Rourke. I know in the end. I forget who they're their backup there. It's not notable to your point. And if it's not even going to like a Garoppolo that they've had there in the past.
Yeah.
If you go to
Yeah. So for whatever that's worth, if you kind of remove the quarterback part of it, and again, like Stafford either being washed up or getting hurt this year is Mac Jones. Somebody in the chat just said it. They have Mac Jones now. McCorkle.
That's right. We'll see with him. I'm definitely with him. Like, yeah, I don't think that they do anything with him and Mac Jones. Part of Brock and what he's able to do for them is his mobility. You put in a McCorkle Jones back there with his immobility, and he's going to get devastated. It's kind of the same thing I think with Garoppolo going in with the Rams. I think that Stafford got him out of trouble a lot of times. His ability to make some throws guys can't make, and if you have Garoppolo out there 24/7, it's going to be troublesome for them. You know, especially when you have the Rams games where they can't run the ball. Like they'll stay with it and have like Kyron averaging 3.5 yards per carry through a game and give him 20 carries, but they still have to come back and have those throws made by the quarterback. They don't have the Niner dominant run game that Garoppolo had when he was there to allow him to be at his best. So I would absolutely feel that way. And Stafford not only has to remain healthy, but he has to be at his best, Brendan. That's the thing about this is it got to be not just him healthy, but you've got to be kind of carrying that show as well. You've got to be slinging the rock to Puka and Devontae Adams getting the job done. They'll run the ball and they'll try to reduce down his attempts. But to my point that I just said, that was the plan last year as well, Brendan. Did you feel like it was the running game that was really carrying them through at any point in time throughout the season last year? Or did you feel like Stafford's finding a way to make miracles happen at the right given moments?
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It didn't really come together the way they were hoping. And I think they were planning Jonah Jackson to be better than he was. I think that was part of it. So, yeah, I mean, if Stafford ends up being either bad or gets hurt this year, I don't think anybody should be surprised. Like that's a very old, high mileage quarterback. There was a time, and I know this isn't the case anymore, where it was the generally accepted common knowledge was that Stafford was going to own every counting stat record for quarterbacks when he retired, because he was printing so many regular season stats on that Lions team. And because that's how much he had to throw the ball, because those teams were bad and they had to throw the ball a lot.
And you took a beating to your point on that, right? You throw the ball a lot, you're behind. Teams know you're behind. Teams know you're going to throw the ball. What do? They pin their ears back in their pass rush, and you're just getting lit up. And Stafford, that's just going to, again, wear you out that much quicker. So you are a quarterback that's played into the decades long at this point. You just wonder when the bill's going to come due on that. It does come due. And Alaric Jackson still, I hadn't heard update. Have you heard update on the blood clot issue he was dealing with?
I think I heard he's past that.
Okay. Hopefully he's
I heard
okay on
he's
that.
past
Those are
that.
scary. Those are definitely
Yeah.
super scary. But we'll see. They're still a really good team though. Along this, I ain't taking anything around the Rams, and they're to me the number one team in the league in the division if they stay healthy with where they're at and how they put their team together. So I can see some vulnerabilities in them, but I definitely can understand where they can be also kind of the big dog on the block this year too, in this division at least.
Right.
Very possible. Long this, thank you again for the big monster donations. Very kind of you, brother. Nolan coming in with a $20 donation. Appreciate you for that, Nolan. Rando, you're closer to Vegas. Are you betting the over on the 7.5, 8.5 wins for the Hawks? Great to see you guys. Go Hawks. Well, if I can get to Vegas, I will definitely lay that bet down. I would take the over on that for sure all day. I would have done last year too.
Yeah, if this team can't hit the over with this schedule, that's kind of sad, I feel like. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah,
this schedule, you better get there.
Yeah, Vegas gave us a freebie last year. They're giving you another freebie this year, in my opinion, with it. And so I will be on it all day if I can get out to Vegas. I don't know if I will be on that one. My buddy was trying to talk me into it the other night, so maybe that'd be a good reason to go. Is I could lay down a monster bet on my Hawks in Vegas, put my money where my mouth is. But they're going to get over 7.5 wins this year. This is the easiest schedule I've seen for our Seattle Seahawks for probably at least 7 or 8 years. And you don't have any tough stretches. The bye week's in a good place. I was looking at it as well. In addition to it, Brendan, even after we've had the schedule released, if you were to go through these teams and look at some of the situations that have played out with some of these teams in just the last couple of months, in some of the situations, there's been some things that have actually worked really well in our favor. As far as some of these, I was looking, I had a couple notes here with it, just Aaron Rodgers getting late to the Steelers in their OTA process and them trying, that whole thing doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about you, but their whole approach there is just weird. Saints losing Derek Carr. So you're going to have either Tyler Shock or Spencer Rattler for the game, you've got with them.
Wait, we play the Saints this year?
Yeah.
What week?
I thought we did, didn't we? I missed.
For some reason in my head. Well, I guess we play the Falcons and I know we also play the, let me check the schedule.
I might be wrong on this actually, but let me look.
Okay, we do play the Saints. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Week 3.
For some reason, I had that out of my head. Okay, week 3. Oh, that could be big then, because then we're getting. I mean, it's definitely before Tyler Shock can build any meaningful experience.
Right. Exactly. So the timing will be, you know what I mean? So there's just some things I've seen on the schedule a little bit that look, pretty taste to us on some of the things. You get Jaguars in there with a rookie head coach, first time head coach in there.
Tristan Wirfs might miss the Tampa Bay game.
Ooh, there we go.
He's starting the season on the PUP, I think. And they're said like, they're not totally sure what he's going to miss, but that's their best player. 100%.
Absolutely. 100% it is. So, I mean, they're out there. Look at the Niner game coming up, Brendan, where Ayuk's going to be out probably in that week 1 matchup. They've got a couple of injuries. We'll see where they're going to be once you get to week 1 with them as well. The Titans, even a little thing like 2 days ago, the Will Levis news. Will Levis being out now means Cam Ward's got to roll with it. You play the Titans this year. Cam Ward's not good. If they got to go to their backups, if he gets, something goes down with him, makes that game a little bit more easier now that you get to play on that side of it. So a lot of our schedule's gotten even easier in kind of retrospect of it. And I just can't see how we don't get to at least, 9 wins on the season. Maybe that is going to be the ceiling too, but I feel like we can get there for sure.
I'd be very disappointed if we can't get there. And it would make me say some things I can't take back later in this season if we don't get there, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I will be pretty frustrated with what we've been lined up, because I'll tell you this, next year's schedule is not going to be this easy.
Yeah, it could be a decade before we see another schedule this easy.
Right. And so we got to take that a bit into account. And probably John should too, as far as if this team is good, if you haven't made a trade before, and we get into the season, to be more aggressive at the trade deadline, then understanding that opportunity that's in front of you. If you are good, if you are legitimate, if you haven't made that move.
And, this is another part of the reason why it did frustrate me. We had to do some of the things we did in the offseason with some of our players. That it's like, I really wish it could have been a different offseason where we were going into a season with a tough schedule that we had to make these changes on offense. That's one reason why I got kind of disappointed in the way the offseason was conducted on some level. Like, this is not what I want to be doing right before I have a season with this soft a schedule.
Yeah. You'd like to have things more in firmer place, especially offensively with this schedule, because then you can maximize it better. And right now it is a question because it's like, well, if the offense can come together, we can maximize it. But if maybe it'll take us half the season for that offense to come together and we end up kind of piddling away a little bit of this nice advantage we have in the schedule because of it.
Right. Exactly. I like looking at this schedule. We need to win one of those 2 first games for sure. I feel like, and it's not going to be easy if the offense can't get out of their own way.
Yeah. If they're still working out kinks getting in the first couple of games, it could be kind of fatal flaw to the season, starting out kind of slow on this one. So we'll see with that one. But Nolan, I'll tell you this, whether I get to Vegas or not, it makes me want to go to at least like a casino or something and just get the bed laid, because I wanted to do it last year and I was like, that's just Vegas is out of their mind for this. And I really regretted not doing it. So I think I'm going to have to this year and find a way to do it, man.
Right.
But thank you, Nolan. Appreciate the big $20 donation, man. Very kind of you. Jeffrey A. Thistle in the house. What's going on, Jeffrey? He says, going to win 20 games this season, 100%. That'd be a hell of a year, man. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that all day long. I'll take a 20-win season.
That is one thing that's nice about the 17-game schedule. 20 games is a nice round number. If you get that first round bye, you get to 20 total. That's a good number.
That is a good number. Yeah. That'd be nice, man. Get the bye, go get the Super Bowl win. Boy, that'd be an incredible year that no one would have saw coming, getting a Super Bowl season like this. And I don't know, we've had an NFL team come up in recent years that nobody thought would win the Super Bowl that's won the Super Bowl like that.
Not really. No. I
mean, the Chiefs we knew would be contender. Tampa Bay we knew would be contender. Eagles we knew would be contender this year. I mean, like a real, they're in it. They're one of the teams. They're in the mix.
I guess Tampa Bay went into the playoffs as the 6th seed. So that's
true.
Close. But that was a team that kind of sucked to start the season and then warmed up as it went on. So it wasn't shocking,
Yeah. And you had Brady the prior year where he looked so bad with the Patriots, where you didn't know coming into the year that he was going to give you good version of Tom, like great version of Tom still. So, maybe that'd be the closest maybe team, and they had a new quarterback. We had a new quarterback they got there. So, hey, there's some comp there, huh?
Right.
Some tacit comparisons.
Yeah, it's a start.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate it, man. Love the confidence. 19 Stray. Thank you for the $2 donation. Says B&B is the best Seahawks show. Oh, that is very, very, very kind of you to say, Stray. I appreciate that, and very kind of you on the donation as well. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're in year 4 on the B&B show, Brendan. I think we're 4 years.
I think this is now the 5th year, because our first year was the last year of Wilson. Then it was 3 years of Geno, and now first year of Darnold. So this is coming into the 5th year.
So 5th year of the show. We're working our way through a half decade here, Stray. Going strong, man. Going strong, kicking ass, taking names, and we'll keep it turned up this year. You know it, man. So, but very kind of you guys. You guys are amazing as always, not just in the support, but in the kind words of encouragement, and always pressing us forward on what we do here. And we're really lucky, really lucky to have you guys.
Absolutely, I love doing it.
Phoebe Morseox with a back-to-back $2 donation says, B, don't forget the Falcons gave the Rams a first rounder. Yeah, dumb as move as I can imagine.
So we are going to be Falcons fans in most games this year. Like we need that trade to not look so bad by the end of the year. We need them to put together some wins and not set the Rams up to get their quarterback of the future blue chip guy. That's what it's going to take.
I so see this train coming from a mile away, Brendan. Like I can just see the light only now. I can't see the train. All I can see is the headlight and the darkness coming. And it's them getting the best damn quarterback in this draft. They're going to do it. I've already made my peace with it. I made it the day that I heard about the trade. I've made my peace with it. I'm going to root like you're going to root, but this thing's going to break wrong. The Falcons they've gotten this so wrong in so many ways. I can't believe it. And it's going to position the Rams in such a nice place. My only hope is that maybe the Rams can have a bad season, so they have to package both of their 2 picks in like the top 10 to make it happen or something. But I think it's going to happen. I do.
Yeah. Well, if the Rams have a really bad season and they get that high pick, at least they earned the high pick the normal way. At least they paid for it. If they get the high pick from the Falcons and the Rams still have a good season, that's going to be the worst.
Yeah, can you imagine getting to like the Super Bowl and they have like the number 1 overall pick or something?
Yeah, that was the Lakers. The
Yeah.
Lakers. They won the championship and then like 2 weeks later drafted James Worthy.
That's
That's literally what it would be.
that's insane. Yeah, I didn't know that they had that. That is crazy. The Lakers pulled that off. But the NBA has
Mhm.
always got the NBA does some shenanigans with that. You know what I mean? Like their
Yeah.
their drafts heavily shenanigan based.
Yeah, I think it's been a while, but I think they had a trade. They traded like Norm Nixon to Utah, and Utah for some reason gave up their first pick, and they ended up being number 1 overall, something like that. It was really bad at the time, and nowadays I think there are rules the NBA has to try to keep teams from doing stuff like that.
Well, they got the protected. You can do lottery protected now in trades. So
Right,
you trade a guy and you're like, well, it's lottery protected though, so it's not a first round pick if it's top 5. It'll be
right.
you have to wait till the next year for it or something. So it's something like that. But yeah, they're going to benefit from this, man, and it sucks because Stafford were to retire after this year, and you got the dead money of Stafford, and then they're struggling to go find the next quarterback. Then we've got a little bit of way where McVay's kind of knocked off his path for a moment, giving us a bit of a breath. But instead, now he might be able to just transition from one to the next seamlessly, and that's not
They
going to bode well.
they are saying Arch Manning will not come out this year though, so it looks like they won't get him at least. That's kind of nice.
I think that's a fluid situation to me because like Arch doesn't come out if he wins the Heisman. Arch doesn't come out if he wins the national title. Arch doesn't come out if a number 1 team happens to get the number 1 overall pick that he wants to go to as a landing zone, i.e., like maybe LA. I
Yeah,
think that on the surface of it, yeah, if it's the Cleveland Browns picking number 1 overall, is Arch probably going back to college? Yeah, you bet. But if something happens machination wise in the background here a little bit, Brennan, I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if that situation changed in a heartbeat.
yeah. Well, let's say the Saints have the number 1 pick because that's my early pick for a team that's going to
Yeah,
be atrocious this year. Would he come out for them? I wouldn't think so, but it's
he
not
wouldn't
Cleveland.
he wouldn't play for his grandfather's team.
Oh, that's a good angle. That's an interesting angle. I didn't think about that, but
Where did Eli Manning go to school?
hmm, I don't know. It's such a weird organization right now, though. I wouldn't want to play for him. It's kind of like the Giants thing, right? Like we were talking about the Giants maybe getting the pick for Arch Manning, and it's like the Giants are a terrible team right now, but it's New York. Like that's the push and pull here, I guess. It's hard to figure.
I think that there's about 5 or 6 really almost equivalent landing zones for Arch when he does come out. I think LA, I think New Orleans, I think New York, I think Miami, I think both New York teams would all be, I think Indianapolis even would be in, I think there'd be a collection of teams that are all kind of equivalent to me, Brendan, in that same spot of being almost equivalently attractive to the Manning family. I think the only way they're out the West Coast is if it's LA. And I think that they'd like to be on the East Coast or in the South in general terms.
Yeah, probably.
We'll see. See how it
Very
goes, man.
valid.
It's gonna be fun to watch how that plays out. Maybe Cade Klubnik or Drew Aller just tear the top off. And so Sellers comes out this year too, potentially, by the way.
Yeah, and Nico. I know there's some stuff going on with him that you're not in love with, but you're going to forget about that real quick if he has a monster year this year.
He looks so much like Randall Cunningham. I
Yeah.
threw it on Jaden Daniels a couple years ago, but he's even more so Randall Cunningham. He's more with Jaden doesn't have as much of the lanky, like really just gangliness to him in the good, not in a bad way, just in like, so reminds me of Randall Cunningham in that way, just really extra, long and elusive. But I agree. Nico's another one. So it's like I said, this quarterback class, Brennan, I maintain it. The top 3 or 4 guys that go in this class all would have gone ahead of Cam Ward in last year's class.
Easily.
Yeah.
I think 6 quarterbacks go before Cam Ward in the previous draft class.
Oh, yes. 100%. 100%.
And I think at least 4 guys in this one would. Like Cam Ward, I still don't think there's I mean, I like him, but he's not really somebody I'd ever want to take number 1 overall, honestly.
Yeah. He's fine. Just not number 1. I would not have. At the end of the day, I think with Cam, I still landed on 2nd round grade. I did not give him a 1st round grade. So it's like that's where I saw him. It's good, but it's not number 1 overall pick worthy. You're just talking yourself into it. Feed me with another $2 donation. Says D-Law hates the Niners. Now gets to play them twice.
D-Law hates everything. He's old. He's just in that phase of his life now.
Cranky and old. Well, some good battles between him and hopefully Trent Williams out on the outside there, where they can go toe to toe a little bit out there. Feed me. That'd be
Apparently,
cool
he doesn't like Micah Parsons very much, and he played with him for 4 years. So he's not a big fan of things right now.
Yeah, and Micah going back at it a little bit. Micah started that though a little bit to his thing, because Micah got all touchy about him wanting to come play for a Super Bowl, and he's like, he kind of popped off, and D-Law had to correct him a little bit, put him in his place.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want him to say? That team hasn't been in the NFC title game in almost 30 years. Like, obviously, winning is not. There are only 16 teams in the NFC, and you can't make the NFC title game once in 30 years. Winning is probably not that high of a priority for your franchise.
Yeah, that's much farther beyond sample size you can get. That's hardline data at that point, and especially considering the success you had just prior to that hardline data being a dynastic run.
Yeah.
So you're kind of set.
Like Seattle hasn't made the NFC title game in 10 years, and we're starting to get antsy. Dallas 3 times more.
Yeah, and we feel like 3 decades here with it only being 10-year period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree. He had got a right to take his shots there at him like he did. Cooper Gay, thank you for the $5 donation. Cooper, very kind of you, and this is over on Brendan's side. As long as I don't see multiple snaps fly over Donald's head this year, I will be happy. Thanks for the show. Can't wait to slam the Niners week 1. Let's go there. I've got a bet on the table, Brennan, for week 1 Niner with the round table.
All right.
If we lose, I've made it almost well over 40 years of my life without wearing a 49er hat in my life. I have to wear a 49er hat for the whole show if we lose.
Classic.
Do you know how hard that's going to be to slip that thing onto my head? My entire life.
What's the reciprocal? What's the other side of it?
He's got to wear a Seahawks hat.
Okay.
But I'm gonna get into my shop and I'm gonna customize. So I'm gonna do it'll be a Seahawks hat, but I'm gonna do number 1 fan, 12 for life. I'm gonna really probably bedazzle it. I'm gonna go a little bit hard with it. So he's gonna just have a regular. I'm gonna give him the. So we got to win that one. That's what it breaks down to. We got to win that. I got to have him put that hat on. It's got to happen.
Yeah, and the Niners, that should be them at their weakest, right? Michael won't be ready to do much yet. Ayuk's out. If you don't win that game, good luck beating them at any point.
So rookies CJ West, rookies Alfred Collins, no Malik Mustafa. Ricky Pearsall's already injured, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, we just got a little bit of not Seahawks news, but I want to stop the show real quick. The Raiders just released Christian Wilkins.
Ooh.
They just straight up released him. I did not see that coming. They have voided $35.2 million of money left on his deal.
Holy crap, dude.
His foot must be ready to fall off.
Yeah, his foot must be jacked. That's holy crap, Brendan. Look at the over the cap on that.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Christian Wilkins, 5 years, $110 million. I'm looking at oh my. Yeah, see, when stuff like this happens, your team should just kind of fold up and go for it next year. Just eat the dead money, take the punches. But it's so hard for teams to be willing to do that.
Well, one could come back around to this is why do you make the Geno Smith trade? You make the Geno Smith trade because for a 36, 35-year-old quarterback that you're trying to go win now. You have Coach Carroll there at his advanced age. He wants to go win now. He doesn't. This is where, to me, I worry about Carroll having a little bit of the sense of urgency because how much time do I have? How many years do I have? And that he's going to be impelled now to push the Raiders situation faster than it should have had to have gone to get it right to where it needs to be for him to get the most out of that team to where they want to be.
Yeah. I mean, I said it back when they signed Carroll. I think this is not going to work because he's going to go, I want to win now. Let's go win 8 games a year. And hey, if you're a Raiders fan right now, maybe winning 8 games a year sounds great to you because it's been better than you've been for a long time. But that's not good, and we know it. You and I both understand that winning 8 games a year and taking on massive dead money every season because you're trying to make sure you secure that 8 wins every year is not good.
No. Well, and it prevents you from ever going forward future. You're getting your 8 wins, but you're not getting a 10 because you won the 8 wins the prior year because you're usually sacrificing something future-wise. And that's what I wonder now, Brennan. You release Wilkins. Now do you do a bunch of urgent moves for this year, further putting future cap space in kind of a hellish place in order to try to, manufacture a winner this season, year one under Carroll. And that's where I hope they don't, because that's where you start to get scramble mode and you make one bad move and then another bad move informs the first bad move. And then you start getting down that trail where you can't stop it. There's just that momentum that picks up at that point.
Bo Nix is going to throw for 1,000 yards this season in his 2 games against the Raiders. Like that Sean Payton offense against the Pete Carroll defense with that personnel, Bo Nix is going to have career days.
Well, we know with Carroll, he doesn't want to blitz and he wants his front four to get the job done. You have Max Crosby. Again, this is another part. Matt, you knew your front four wasn't in place the way it needs to be for this upcoming year. And this is where Carroll, to me, I don't understand this. You know you need your front four to go to make your defense go. You only have Max Crosby, and you knew Christian Wilkins' foot was jacked. I mean, they didn't arrive at this place like yesterday and go, man, it's just not healing. Like they knew throughout this offseason, this thing's probably not likely to be in a good place. So you're nowhere near the front four baddies you need to make your defense go. So then, like you say, kick out that first year, man. Roll it out the first year and eat it a little bit. And if anything, set yourself up to maybe get that number 1 overall pick for the year after that. But instead, you trade for Geno. You should have moved Max Crosby and tried to get assets back for him. You didn't on that and said you re-up with him on a contract extension. And he's a good player. Maybe he'll be there 2-3 years down the road when you're ready and he'll be all right at that point. But to me, that's with just always you got to ascertain where you're at the right spot from a team-wise so you can make the right moves. And this doesn't look good to me on them with that. I don't, it's because they're eating dead money, right, Brendan? Like you just saw the cap space. It's not just you're releasing him and you're losing what he would have costed base salary wise.
Right.
It's that now that bonus money accelerates onto the books and hits your books this year for this year's space.
Right. It's like, it's way more than the 35.2, isn't it? It's going to be like,
I think the post June 1st is even the post June 1st says they got to eat $56 million of money on it. On just even the post June 1st.
And then next year they have to eat what, 30 something? That might be more dead money than Denver ate on Russell Wilson. That might be the new record.
It's close. They chopped it up. So they're going to chop it up into 30. They'll chop it up into 37 each year. So 37 for the next 2 years.
Okay. That's not as much as Wilson. Okay. But I'd like to criticize Carroll for that, but the reality is a lot of teams would probably do the same thing. They don't think about like, look, let's just treat this next year as a punt. Like teams typically don't think like that. Carroll is not alone in overextending himself in situations where he shouldn't, but I mean, it seems like they're destined to have a top 5 offense, but a bottom 3 defense and win 8 games.
It's very where this could go. And maybe Genti can be a difference maker in that way to make it go. But I don't know how defensively you carve this up at this point. And maybe that this is what happens from this is they go make a Trey Hendrickson move. I thought they've been the team that should do it. At least now you're
wait a minute here. Okay. Adam Schefter just tweeted, due to how Wilkins treated the rehab from his foot injury he suffered last season, the Raiders have voided the guaranteed money left on the contract.
Are they coming after it? Is that's language like they're coming after him on it.
Wilkins has filed a grievance with the NFLPA.
Oh, Lordy. Here we come back again to organizations that just can't. So they're going to come back after the money to try to recoup it.
Yeah.
Do you see that too? Like that's.
Yeah. Which I think has only happened twice ever, to my knowledge. The Niners did it with that tackle guy when they had Harbaugh.
That was Harbaugh being petty as hell, though.
And the Patriots did it with Aaron Hernandez. Because
Anthony Davis.
Okay, yeah, Anthony Davis. There we go. Wow. Okay, this is going to be fun, and this is not what the Raiders need right now going into the season. Yikes.
I can't imagine Carroll signed off on that. He's so that's so antithetical to the way that Seattle would have run something like that here. That must be a Brady thing or something, or I mean,
maybe Carroll doesn't have very much power. Maybe he's just the coach, and they've kind of like maybe Spytek has more power than we thought.
Yeah, but then how does this land with other players you're going to bring in the future who think this is a potential risk to them? I mean, unless we got some egregious story from Wilkins that he's out there like participating in a circus acrobat thing or something, or doing ATV sessions up a mountain. How do you get to the point of improperly proving rehab? We wanted him to do band exercises and he said no.
Maybe it's like a Monta Ellis situation. Remember Monta?
Yeah, or he was a little bit pissy about because they
Yeah.
drafted Courier and
Well,
he
no, no,
got
no. He signed a big deal. It was like an $80 million deal. And then he tore up his knee on a moped. And because he was
oh
riding
yeah.
a moped, they voided everything. He lost it
Yeah.
all.
There'll be more to the story. Because the organization shouldn't go after guys like this unless there's something they've done egregious to cause you to really want to pursue
Yeah.
them in this way. But that's not a line I'd like my organization to be doing with. Just eat the money and walk on. If you make a bad signing on something, then eat it. Not like you drafted this guy and you developed and you had him, you did all this backing of him. You signed him as a gun for hire and for agency and it didn't work.
Yeah.
That's the way this rolls sometimes.
Assuming they lose the case, which I'm guessing they probably will, does that mean their cap is just completely screwed up for the next few years?
I think because they can post June 1st and they're okay. They've got the second most of cap space in 2026. So they could afford to eat this. But the problem is that you're going to be looking to inject into that year, right? That's the year you're looking to, here we go. And now you've got this monster $30 million, which is going to move you down to more middle of the pack / 17th, 18th in space. And now you're not able to make those extra moves, being you're already the Raider organization, which isn't exactly cash rich and doesn't exactly, you can just throw void years around and all that, even with Tom Brady's 10% injection into it. So this is not good for the Raiders. This is a bad way to start this off there with there in Carroll. And again, your worries, I think, valid that you talked about as far as him coming in there and letting that push his timeline, and that can't push your timeline, Pete. You got to operate like you're going to coach till you're 87 years old. You got to operate coming in here and understanding we got to get the bad out first, and then we can bring in the good. And that means we got to kind of take but that it's that win forever. It's that every year I got to win. Every year we got to go for it. Every year we got to always have that pace. And it's like, I get it. I understand that's again been part of what breeds the greatest success for you in one side of it, but it can bite you in the butt on the other side too. And it did with us in Seattle in certain years where we probably should have called the ball and taken a bit of a step back.
Yeah, and again, I'd like to kill Carroll for this, but he's not the only guy out there who does this. This is more than just him. Like I can think of like Belichick. I remember that one year where he just basically let all the dead cap hit wash over him and he had a bad season. I think it was the year they had Cam Newton. When they asked him about it after the season, he was very honest about it. He was like, well, what do you want me to do? I have no money. I just decided to deal with it. Like you never would have heard that from Carroll.
No. And I think you got to, in the NFL, I think sometimes you got to do it. You get yourself in a spin spot. You got to call the ball, move off of it. I think the Hawks have done a pretty good job the past couple of years doing that with certain, you ate all the Jamal Adams deal. You've got Quandre out. This offseason, you moved to where you had to. You're eating more money than you'd like to, but you're also not holding on to assets for too long than you should. That's the other upside of it or to the other side of it, or, taking on bad water essentially. So we'll see, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Snaps over the head. Oluwatimi had a little bit of some issues with it when he was even in at times last year. So
I think he had one. Yeah.
He had one. It was more of a Connor Williams problem, Cooper, though. And so that part should be resolved at this point. That part should be resolved. We'll hopefully see on that. I think Sundell's pretty good with the snap stuff, but
yeah,
we'll see.
People keep hyping up Sundell as like somebody who could start, and I don't know much about him. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
You've got you've got a microcosm of the same situation between Sundell and Oluwatimi that you have between Bradford and Christian Haynes. You have one guy that is the technician, that's what at least the reputation is. I know with Haynes, you wouldn't go, well, he was a technician last year, but that's coming out of UConn. That's essentially kind of, he's going to get by with essentially the fundamentals and being, technique proper, right? But not as athletic, not as good a mover in space, right? You see where I'm going with this, where Bradford's the uber athletic, big monster guy that can move in space. Well, you have over here a little bit of the same thing where Oluwatimi is your technician. Sundell is your real mover in space. Your guy that Sundell's the guy out there, get down in front of Charbonnet in the Packer game. Like the one time we ran the ball in that game, he's the guy pulling out in front 40 yards down the field in front of Charbonnet as a lead blocker from the center position. So he can do things Oluwatimi just can't. But when it comes down to what's the coaching staff going to prefer here? And we're going to learn about Kubiak on this, right?
Right.
Between the guys that he picks, do you go for more of the technician, or are you driven more for the guy that can get to all of the blocks that you're going to require in this system? And I don't have an answer to that, but it's kind of cool. You have two different types of guys that are kind of the same at each position that you're looking for there. CD Woods, thank you for the $5 donation. He says, I hate the NBA lottery. Ignore my profile image.
It's a bad time to be the NBA lottery, especially after what just happened. Like that That one's going to be a while before they recover from what happened this year.
Well, and they've been stacking this stuff up for too long. LeBron going to his hometown team, the Knicks getting Patrick Ewing from Georgetown going to like a hometown team.
Right.
What you've done with the Dallas Mavericks in that trade that absolutely stunk to high heaven of manipulation by the NBA to get Luka Doncic over to LA in the first place, and then them coming back and doing a solid by them with this number 1 overall pick. There's a kid next year that's like from Utah that's going to be maybe the number 1 overall pick. So people are already like, well, Utah will definitely have the number 1 overall pick next year too. And that's bad. That's really bad. And what's happened is NBA is kind of dying a little bit. People aren't watching as much. So now the NBA is doing this manipulation to try to overcome the, people checking out, right?
Yeah. And I don't think it's working. I don't think so. I don't get the sense it's working.
No, people don't like this. They like when the people feel like sports are being manipulated, it turns people off of your sport that much more. And they're so overt about it and how they've done it through the years as the NBA that people are going, I don't know. No, this is not right. This is off.
Yeah. The Luka trade in particular was just a new low.
Oh, it was awful.
Like the Orlando Magic gave up 5 first-round picks for Desmond Bain, I think it was. And who the hell is Desmond Bain?
Yeah.
But the Lakers give up 1 first-round pick and whatever's left of Anthony Davis for a top 3 player in the league. Like, okay.
It's not the first time you've done it for that Laker organization either. So that's the other part of this. Like, you can go back to getting Kobe Bryant in the trade that they got him from the Hornets. There's some of that's going on there too with it. So it's a little dirty as the NBA on this stuff, and not hard for me to watch that sport, especially with how they took our Sonics on top of it. But boy, they're not turning eyeballs onto their product any much more in the future with this kind of modus operandi, because people notice it. When you make it this overt, it's like, how can you not?
Right.
Thank you though, CD. Appreciate you for that. Catalyst, thank you for the $5 donation. You guys are just amazing on the support today. Just really appreciate you. Says center is for crucial outside zone. Can Olu Oluwatimi or Jalen Sundell provide that role for this offense, or will our run game be more diverse?
I'll tell you, one thing that I played with this offseason is the idea of Christian Haynes or Gray Zabel being our center, and how that would work downwind of that. Like, the idea would be Haynes is your center and Bradford's your right guard, or Zabel's your center and then Haynes is your left guard. Can he make those changes? Can he move position like that? We talked about last season how Christian Haynes might not be strong enough to play right guard and go up against one techs, but he's a great technician. So maybe moving to center or left guard, where you don't need to go up against one techs one-on-one as much, might be good. So I still am looking at that and thinking to myself, is that still on the table? Because that excites me way more than Oluwatimi, because to me, Oluwatimi is kind of capped out as being a well below average but competent starting center. Like, if you could get Christian Haynes there, that's exciting to me.
I think it's a possibility, including the Zabel one. I think it's opened up here, and I do hope that they come to I really don't want to see us going through training camp, spinning through different offensive linemen in different places 3, 4, 5 weeks into camp, and that this guy's going to be this today. Tomorrow it's going to be over there. We're going to move him over here today. We're going to move this guy over there tomorrow. I think you're best suited to try to get guys into roles early and let them develop within that role. And I'm open to Zabel or Haynes being the guy to move over there, but you should do it early, I think, in camp if you're going to do this. Olu is an interesting guy, Catalyst. Does he have the natural mobility to get to those kind of blocks? No, not by how he's kind of naturally built, because he's kind of average athletically for the center position. But did he get to those blocks in college when he was asked to do it in Michigan and do it successfully? Yes, he did. So he has had a track record of getting to the reach blocks and moving out in space and being able to do it successfully. Michigan ran its share of zone when he was there. Sundell's better at the mobility stuff, but Olu being more of a technician, better in pass protection, better with probably blitz pickup stuff, and a little bit with that, this is where it's going to be a neck and neck race between the two of them. Run game diversity is also a requirement at this point. Every zone team in the league is going to have gap-based concepts. There was times where back in the day, you might have a zone team that just was purely zone, or a gap team that's just purely gap. Now everything's got a little bit of everything in it. Just like there's always going to be a little bit of air raid concepts in a West Coast offense, and there'll be West Coast concepts within an air raid offense. All this stuff's got a little bit of a blending over a little bit. You just run something in a little bit more of a predominant nature than something else. You lean more in. There'll be more zone centric, but there'll be gap stuff in here because gap stuff's what's kicking that was what's Brendan with the running game in the NFL last year. That's what stepped forward and found a lot of success. There's a lot of teams that started out running zone last year, went to gap, us included,
right,
that were able to find the running game, take some big steps forward.
Yeah. And it's kind of awkward because I feel like we built most of this offensive line for zone, and now we have a zone play caller. And yet I wonder how much we end up coming back to gap.
I think you got to work a little bit of it to keep defenses honest. And if you have success with it, to be able to still roll with it and not have to go back to your zone if it's working to do this other thing. And I think that you can have room to do both in how you attack defenses. But it does seem like the cover 2 shell, the lighter boxes is better to go after with the power formation fronts and the use some of the gap within that. That seems to be the modernized formula against this new age defense we're dealing with, and how you want to counter that at least a little bit. That there's going to be some natural holes in the run game if you go that route with it.
Right.
Roy Froelich, thank you for the $20 donation onto Brendan's side for this. So appreciate you for that, Roy. It's good to see you in the house too, brother. I know you remember on both our channels. Mm-hmm. He says, Milrow at the Coldplay concert, laughing out loud. Brendan, you crack me up.
Yeah. It's just you don't want to. You don't. It's going to alienate Sam Darnold. You got to take Sam Darnold to the Coldplay concert right now. Maybe you're more excited about Milrow, but you can't. Until the time is right, you can't be going public with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you have McDonald wrap his arms around Darnold, but then he can kind of side-eye Milrow. That's the way you work this. So he's got in the loving embrace of Darnold, side-eye to Milrow. And then everybody's still happy and comfortable. You got the warm and the fuzzies. That's the way to roll it. Yeah,
absolutely. That you have no other way to play it. It's a business decision. Sorry, you can't always make decisions with your heart.
You can't. Sometimes you got to think with your head on this one a little bit, and not the wrong head.
Right.
Thank you, though, Roy. Appreciate the $20 donation. Very, very kind of you, brother, and kind of everybody today. Just unbelievable support. Jordan coming in with another $5 here as well. Says Gino got paid, so it's not like he's stressing, but it sucks going from one bad situation to an even worse one.
I don't know if I would call it worse, because the Raiders, at least he has a pretty good offensive line. Raiders offensive line is pretty good. Got Chip Kelly, who at the very least is I think he's going to be good. I guess technically speaking, he's never been a successful NFL OC, but he's never been an NFL OC period. But he's certainly called plays in the NFL before, and I think he was fine at it.
Yeah.
And you've also got Brock Bowers. So, and John T, by the way. So I don't know if it's a terrible situation he's in. There are elements of it that are terrible, but I would rather be in his spot now than the spot he was in last year, where he's behind a bottom 3 offensive line with Ryan Grubb.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's, I also think there's a little bit of this, and I'm maybe on my own on this a little bit, Jordan, but I have a tendency to believe that if I could put John Schneider on a lie detector test, that he was wanting to move on from Gino. Not that he hated Gino, not that Gino wasn't a good quarterback, but just he wanted to go a different direction. And that was a little bit of a driving force behind this a little bit. And Gino realized that. I think that it wasn't that Gino was just like, oh, what's, I want to just go to, I know Gino dresses this up like, I just want to go play for my old ball coach. And I know that that's the public relations answer that's kind of given out there, but I think that there's a lot of background stuff that goes on with this a bit that's also worth noting here. And that, Gino went to where he was going to get, paid the most, and to a ball coach he was familiar with. And I think to Brendan's points, he is set up in a situation where he can have at least some moderate success, and that he shouldn't be inundated 24/7. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to throw the ball 70% of the time. They're just not going to do that. I mean, even if they get him behind in games with Genti there, you're going to lean on that, and they should. So, I get where you're coming from there, Jordan. I do on that. But I think it's just also part of just from Gino's perspective, the way that you had to just kind of roll with this to get to the right, right landing spot, given the conditions.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, there's been this big push from Seahawks fans this offseason. Whenever I talk about Gino, I see the same comment 100 times. Gino didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
And technically that might be true on some level, but I always ask, okay, why didn't he want to be here? Did he not like the size of his locker? Did he not decide our uniforms are ugly? Like, okay, why did he not want to be here? And I think that he didn't want to be here in part because John Schneider didn't want him here. And when I see comments like that, I think it's already kind of greasing the wheels to not blame John Schneider if this quarterback change ends up not working out. And like that's kind of what I see it as. Like, if it doesn't work out and we end up regretting what we did, people are going to say, well, John Schneider had no choice. And I don't think that's true. And I'm going to, judge him based on the fact that he made a decision to do this. And that if the decision doesn't work out, I'll judge him poorly. And if the decision works out, I'll judge him well.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about it. And I think he gave us a tidbit of and when he was doing the 710 interviews there through the process of the offseason, he gave us a bit of a tidbit into this when he spoke about the fact that they hadn't sat down with Geno's people yet on the contract. If you have your starting quarterback that you want to keep in house, I mean, that's the most important player on your football team, and you're at a position of he's the highest priority and you want to retain him, you've already had those contract discussions before that point. You've set the stage to get that contract done. You're not making him wait, and then you're coming in finally and you're giving him a contract offer that's below what he's going to sign with the Raiders. That to me is a general manager subtly just subtly pushing his QB out the door a little bit there and how he's going about his business. And it's a great point on your part that this does then, if people just say, well, it's Geno just wanting to leave, this then lets John off the hook a little bit for the Darnold decision if it goes wrong, because he just dealt with the cards handed to him. What was he to do? Right.
Yeah.
There was only so many quarterbacks available to him and he couldn't draft one. So what is he to do? And that would be to me why I think I push back on this is that no, they picked this. They chose this boat.
Yeah. And when this season ends, I'll be judging everything from that perspective. I'll be judging everything from the perspective of how did things go? Did the decisions they make work out? And I'm not going to be giving any free passes for like, oh, well, he had no choice but to do this. He had no choice but to do that. Like, he has agency here. Like, even in the case of the DK Metcalf thing, we know DK asked out, but why did he ask out? Maybe because we took too long to build a good team around him and he was sick of not making the playoffs or not making any deep runs. I mean, he wanted out so badly. He went to Pittsburgh when they had Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback. Like, so he really wanted out.
I think it's the very same thing in that it's just like with Geno, and that if you want to retain DK, then you give him the contract extension. DK wanted to be paid right now. Seattle didn't want to pay right now. They want to go through all of their normal order of business and then pay him at right now before training camp and get the contract extension done at that time. DK wanted to be paid right then. That's what the reports spoke about. And like you say as well, if you're wanting to keep DK, you're not floating trade rumors of him the week prior to him requesting a trade at the combine. That was a key indicator there about what was going on with the DK situation, and that Seattle, much like with Geno, is doing a subtle pushing out. That there could have been a retaining, there could have been a keeping, but you did we're trying to kind of move on this situation and keep this rotating. And to your point about holding accountable, which is true, it's also on the flip side of this. These moves work out. If Darnold comes in and he's able to replicate what he did with the Vikings last year, if your receiver situation is none the worse for the wear because you have receivers that purely fit to this new scheme and the designs of what it asks from its receivers, and you find success on the back of this as well too, then John deserves to be highly lauded for getting that right when it was not an easy no-brainer type of decisions to be made there, where he was going against what the general consensus was out there from, let's say, the fans or the national perspective on this one. So it works both ways on this one too.
Right. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give him credit or blame depending on what happens this season. And I'm sure I'm going to still hear it, but I'm just going to say it right now. I don't want to hear well, it's not his fault stuff if things go bad, or that it's not his responsibility if things go well. Yeah.
It's on both sides of that front of it. He's the guy now in charge. Pete's moved on. It's 2 years removed. This is John. John is the conductor of this train. And it isn't that he's a victim to circumstance around him. It's that he is driving the train, and whether it goes great or whether it goes bad, that's where the responsibility now lies as it stands.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Feed Me More Seahawks is going to finish us off with another $2 donation here as we put a little bit of a wrap up almost 3 hours into the show today. Really appreciate you guys watching and had a hell of a turnout. Brendan, we've got over 600 people in the chat here, even right now, rolling along, which is great to see. Phoebe says Metcalf straight up said he went to Pitt for the money.
Well, that better be the case because I don't think he's getting anything else. He's not getting good quarterback. He's not getting high-level quarterback play. He's not getting good weather.
Offensive system or good weather.
Yeah. Well, maybe the system. Arthur Smith. I like Arthur Smith, but I don't know if he can overcome the inertia of that offense.
Well, not a high. The thing with Arthur, though, is I don't think you're getting to a high volume. If the point is to get you maximally productive and to be at your brightest star point, yeah, you're going to be utilized good. You're going to be productive. You're going to get one-on-one opportunities on the outside in Arthur Smith's offense, but are you going to get the high volume of targets?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I just hope he likes winning 8 games every year.
I hope he does as well. Pitt was not a place I would have seen DK going to. That would not have been a landing spot that I would have said made a lot of sense to me as far as for him. But like PB says, I think what it was about the money. Who will pay me right now at the beginning of the offseason and give me exactly what I want to be paid? And that's what drove that deal. You could have gotten it done with DK if you're willing to probably meet that at that timeline. I bet you probably talk him into staying or somewhere in that near territory. But there are things general managers do where it sometimes is overt in what they're doing to go this direction. There's stuff they do in the background at times, I think, to kind of manipulate things to get them into the direction they want to move them. And I think John in both those cases did the latter.
Yeah. Man, I'm thinking about that Pittsburgh thing. Like, and good luck getting another high-level quarterback there anytime in the near future, because they're never bad enough to get one, right? They're never bad enough to actually get that guy. Well,
look at what they've done. Just this is a maybe not full on moving the chairs of the deck of the Titanic thing, but it is like, okay, Micah Fitzpatrick goes, and then you bring in Jalen Ramsey, and then you're going to pay TJ Watt on this big monster contract extension at his age. Okay. And then you're going to pair Aaron Rodgers with DK Metcalf. Aaron Rodgers is the king of throwing contested catch balls, back shoulder fades. It's not exactly DK's game. Aaron Rodgers has been more of an on-time quarterback, and when he wants to hit to his guys, especially once he's lost his mobility, because he's not going to move around like he once did to extend plays. DK works off his secondary routes all the time. I don't see how that pairing completely works with that there. But to your point on the roster, yeah, it's a roster that's kind of in the middle of the road. It's got an aging elements to it. It's got some good parts to it. That's got some youth to it as well. But then where is the quarterback coming from? I don't know. There's not a pathway to it.
Yeah, they're the team that just has the new either washed up veteran or busted, bust with some potential every year. Like next year, they're going to have like Anthony Richardson as their quarterback. Yeah. And then the year after that, it's going to be Matt Stafford. And then the year after that, that feels like what's going to happen. It's kind of like what happened with Indy there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the problem. You make the poor mistake at the front saying, we think we're ready to go now. We just need this. Oh, you got it wrong. You weren't ready to go right now. So you don't just need that. You need to stay through your process and get the process right before you start trying to jump to the head of the stack. Teams want to jump to the head of the stack. Pittsburgh, since Roethlisberger retired, should have at one point or another called the ball and been like, oh, we just lost a Hall of Fame quarterback. We're going to have to go back to the beginnings on this and get this figured back out again. And I mean, look, Steelers, when they've been great in their history, the times they've been really good and gotten 1 Super Bowls, Roethlisberger or Bradshaw, when he was there, you had some really great high-end quarterback play when you were able to get it done. And when you had middling quarterback play, but still a great team, a la Neil O'Donnell with the Steelers back in 95, you topped out against the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. That's as far as you could kind of go. But we'll see we'll see what they do.
Right now, I think a lot of Steelers fans would love to lose the Super Bowl right now. I think that sounds like a dream.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they would. They would take that in a heartbeat. They haven't won even a playoff game since 2017, something like that with Tomlin. So
last time they won a playoff game, Obama was still in office.
Yeah. It's been a minute there for the Steelers, and this is going to be a fork in the road season, I think, for them, because if they don't get to the playoffs, you got to figure that there's probably going to be some change over there. Maybe at that point, I don't know. We'll see. They are a team that seems to be happy to just kind of muddle along a little bit the way that this is played out. I know I said feed to his last one. We got Sean Collins with a $5 donation in here. Thank you for that, Sean. I really appreciate you for that. Are we sure McDonald didn't see the red zone interceptions from Geno and said, no way?
I would certainly hope not, because I think the red zone interception is the most overblown thing I've ever seen in this fan base. Like, first of all, Gino had no red zone problems really the first 2 years he was here. So it was a 1-year thing, if anything. And second of all, if you look at the teams that lead the quarterbacks that lead the league in red zone interceptions every year, it's usually like Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. It's the best quarterbacks in the league. So there's no correlation between not being a good quarterback and throwing a lot of red zone interceptions. So I would hope that and if there was some kind of analysis from McDonald that said, I don't want Gino anymore, I hope it went deeper than that. If it didn't go any deeper than that, then I don't like our head coach very much because I don't think he understands football.
I do think, Sean, I agree with what Brendan's saying to a large degree, Sean, but I do think that you're on kind of the right track here in that this wasn't just the John Schneider call on this one. When I talk about, the subtle pushing of Gino out the door, I would include Mike McDonald in on this. And I would point to you on a couple of different things from last season to kind of illustrate this. First, the throwing the football in the defender's face in the Buffalo Bills game. The screaming at fans from the sidelines in your home stadium and losing your marbles on the sidelines, screaming at your fans.
I don't remember that. I remember him breaking the tablet.
No, there's a screaming. There's definitely one with him yelling, screaming last year at the fans from the sideline, like literally like losing his mind, screaming, like needing to be pulled away. And I think that KJ Wright had his show interconnected to the organization prior. He was asked about Gino as a leader, pretty did not jump to the forefront saying Gino's a leader. And I think that I'm not saying Gino's a bad leader per se, but I think that there's definitely some questions I would have as a coach in watching some of his behavior at times last year and how he's carried himself. Some of the Twitter crap he gets into that's sometimes really childish. I mean, you got him this offseason out there on the practice field at some event that he's doing where he's like losing his mind there at an event, going off half-cocked there. That's not the makings of a leader at times from the quarterback position. You got to be under control. You got to rise above. You got to persevere. You got to control yourself a little bit at times. And I would wonder a little bit if some of that, if you're seeing that on the surface of it, Brendan, these little flashes of this stuff, what does it look like in the background? What does it look like in the locker room? And I would estimate that much like if you put Mike Schneider under the lie detector test, if I was to put Mike McDonald on the lie detector test and say, was Gino the guy you wanted to run with and forward as your quarterback? That I don't think he would have said yes, or I don't think he would have been honest if he was saying yes.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think McDonald was all in on Gino, and I think he's also all in on Darnold. I think he's fine with. I think it's John driving it at the end of the day. I don't think McDonald had much to say about that person.
So you think McDonald would have been? There's no difference between a Darnold or Gino in my eyes.
I don't think he thinks there's no difference. I think that he's just like, well, whatever it is, I'm just going to work with it. I think that's how he looks at things. And I think he was perfectly fine with Gino. And I think he's fine working with Darnold as well. I think that's the kind of way he looks at it.
So but let's take this through on an exercise. John Schneider and Mike McDonald are talking and John Schneider says, I want to move off from him. And you think Mike McDonald's in that room saying, no, I don't want to move off from him. And then John says, no, I'm going to move off from him. We're going to get Sam Darnold. And then he goes, okay.
I kind of feel like that's probably the way he approaches things like this. I don't know. It's really hard to project this kind of stuff. It's personality stuff.
This is a lot of conjecture on our part, to your point on that. I would just, when it comes to the other positions, I think maybe you'd find Mike McDonald in that position of things. I think when it comes to the quarterback position, I think he'd be a little bit more, if he felt that way about Gino, it'd be a little bit more hard lined. And given that there wasn't that big of a difference in the true price of contract you paid between Darnold and Gino, really, it was a fairly slight difference at the end of the day, that you get the deal done if he's pounding the table for his QB in that way.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think McDonald was kind of a little hands off on that personally. I feel like John has taken so long to get control of the team that he's probably doing a lot of, he probably exerts most of the power on this personnel stuff.
Could be. That's a fair point, man.
I just feel like it's his show. I do.
I could see it potentially being that way it went. So, and like, we just don't ever know for sure on that. Maybe we'll learn with time a little bit more on how that all the details of that kind of played out to be sure with it. But I do think that McDonald's in on Darnold and in on where his quarterback situation is right now, and not begrudgingly, like gritted teeth, okay. I think he's good with it. He's rolling with it.
Yeah. I mean, why would you be any other way right now? He hasn't played a game for you yet. He's here. Like, if you decide to approach it that way, it's not like it's going to make it go away or make it better.
Although if Schneider kind of forced it on him, he could have in that interview where they're like, is Milroe maybe in on the competition here? Instead of shooting that down as hard as he could have, he'd been like, well, it's open battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see with Sam. It's 1 year. I don't know. We'll see. He wouldn't do that. I know. I'm just joking, but
Yeah, I would hope not.
I hope not on that. But thank you, Sean. Great question on that. And I don't think it's probably some other matters that probably maybe impacted that a little bit, but as well, we don't know for sure, as Brendan was talking about, that we don't know exactly how that background situation or what Mike's real true feelings were with Gino on where he stood with that and how hard he might have pushed on that in the background with it. I really want to thank you guys for all of the support today. We had almost 37 donations here. We've run 3 hours, well over 600 people in the chat, which is a great high water mark for us to start this off in training camp here, where people are still just trying to get kind of connected in. If you aren't already, if you could, please hit the like button, whether you're on Brendan's side, Seahawks Brendan Nelson here on YouTube, or me, the Hawks Nest here on YouTube. Please hit the like button. Please sub up on either side of it. We will be doing this show all throughout the year on Thursday. We'll be a bit touch and go as we get through training camp, just to see if we got this, stuff to cover, if there's some news rolling down. But we will for sure, once we get into rolling into, preseason games, be hitting this up every week on this Thursday. So do tune in Thursday, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We will be rolling and rocking through in that way. Brendan, thanks for rolling with me for 3 hours today. I always keep you long, man. So stretch those legs out a little bit,
it was called for. It's called for. We haven't done this in a while.
Indeed it was. But you guys are very kind for coming in and checking it out. Super, super monster donations in the chat too as well. So thank you guys for all that support. We don't know where we're going this year, Brendan. We don't know how this ride's going to end up, but it's very exciting where we stand right now. Is there's a lot of possibilities and beautiful possibilities for this team this upcoming year. So I know you're looking forward to it. Thank you for doing this with me, man. And let's have ourselves a great year. Let's go out there. Let's break through this year for the first time. You and I doing this 5 years. We haven't had a real true contending like team that we've been able to cover here, and it would be a lot of fun to be able to watch this team do some great things and be able to cover nothing but good instead of having to turn over. Oh, we're gonna have to trade Russell Wilson. We're gonna have to move on from Coach Carroll. We got we've had to turn over some difficult items of discussion at times the last couple of years. It'd be nice to get to the purely good.
And again, I'm going to be open-minded here. I'm not sold on everything. I'm not, but I'm going to be open-minded. And there's a lot of potential here. This is not a dead-end situation. I don't feel like a Jets fan right now. I imagine the sensible Jets fans are not too high on this right now.
Justin Fields just carted off with a toe injury today.
Yeah.
To your point. So that's what I come back to on this as well. It's just that there are so many organizations that can't get out of their own way, that step on the landmine, that make the poor decision, that's dumb on the surface of it. You have a team that, look, not every decision is going to be brilliant, but most of the decisions they make have an intelligence behind them to where you can understand why they made them and why the collection of these moves smartly made can eventually equivalent out to a winning football team. It is, to me, a matter of time on this one, Brendan. Don't know if it'll be this year, but I think you and I would have at least both agree on this, whether it's this year, it is coming down the line. They are moving in that right direction, which not every NFL team is by a large degree.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that?
Yeah, it's that fun part of the year. It's that fun part right now. Maybe it won't be fun later. Maybe it will be. But right now it's fun because you get to wish cast. You get to think about what could be. And right now there could be a lot.
I'm wish casting like a mother over here. I'm wish casting 24/7 on my side. So, well, thank you, man. I appreciate you for doing this. We will be back very soon on our side of, again, just hit that like button if you can. Helps us show up on that algorithm. And thank you again for the great turnout and the great support today, as you guys are always here with us every time we rock and go live. Thank you, Brendan, for doing this, man. I appreciate you. And we will be back here soon. But until next time, can't let them forget, Brendan. It's been an off season. They might have forgotten.
They probably have. Let's be real here.
You got the Mariners doing some good things, and they got their head in the cloud with baseball. We got to bring them back down to the ground here. We got to let them know. We got to remind them. Got to keep them on point. This team might do some great things this year, so you want to be paying attention. You better believe it. Don't forget. Don't you ever forget. Brendan, don't let them forget. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.